far they've had one.
Well, Lou Piniella set a number for his ball club. He wants to go 7-3 on this trip. Right now, they're 4-2, so that number very reachable. It's not that easy because they are on the road, but it can be done.
The Mariners are a team that can really score a lot of runs. Evidence the fact they have 4 players in their everyday lineup with 20 or more homers.
Yeah, boom, boom, and kaboom. And one of those guys that aren't in there in that number is Ken Griffey. But they have quite a lineup, not very many holes. Edgar Martinez leading the way. Boy, those are awfully good numbers.
Here in New York all season long, they've been saying, look, George, the problem is pitching. Andy Pettit is going today, pitch well Wednesday, but you never know what you're going to get.
Well, this young fellow doing a pretty good job. He tries to build off his last start, and what happens is if he doesn't get the curveball over, he could be in trouble. That is one of those pitches. It's a must-get-over-the-plate type of pitch.
Big cheer for the Yankee fans when it was announced that Paul O'Neill is in the lineup today. Of course, the right-hander is going, but O'Neill's numbers suggest that maybe he should play more often.
That's an awful potent bat, Tom. When you have a guy like that that can win a ball game for you every day, you must have him in there, not only with his bat, but he's a terrific outfielder as well. Keep him in there every day.
The first of 3 today on ESPN. The starting pitchers, Stoloman Torres for the Seattle Mariners, the right-hander, and the young lefty for the Yankees, and that is Andy Pettit. Torres against Pettit. We'll be back with the start of the game in a moment.
ESPN's Major League Baseball is brought to you by Franzia, America's favorite wine.
Welcome back to Yankee Stadium. You could not order up a better day for Major League Baseball this Labor Day weekend. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for Lou Piniella's Seattle Mariners. Leading off, acquired just a short time ago from the Kansas City Royals, it'll be Vince Coleman in left field, hitting .287, followed by shortstop Luis Sojo. Ken Griffey Jr. in the lineup, hitting third today, took yesterday off. Edgar Martinez, the DH's cleanup. Jay Buhner, the former Yankee, in right field. Mike Blowers at third base, another former Yankee. Tino Martinez at first. Chris Widger, youngster from Wilmington, Delaware, will be catching today, and Felix Fermin hitting ninth and playing second base. That's the lineup for the Seattle Mariners that will face left-hander Andy Pettit.
Well, as I mentioned, this fella has to get his breaking ball over. What you consider pretty good stuff, decent fastball, but the curveball is the key for him, Tom. And also keep in mind that he does not have a real good move to first base. So every once in a while, you're going to see some throws over there. Try to stop the early speed. Guys like Coleman, perhaps Sojo. But if Lou Piniella gets a chance to push a little bit, he's going to do it.
And Andy Pettit has pitched quite well at Yankee Stadium this year. 5-1, including 3 complete games, the last of which last Wednesday, a victory, a 5-hitter over the California Angels, as Vince Coleman steps in. And he may have been just what the doctor ordered for the Seattle Mariners in that leadoff spot. See his on-base percentage, average, bubbling near the 300 mark. Of course, fans here in New York know well of Vince Coleman from his stormy tenure with the New York Mets, and the first pitch is high and outside for ball 1. 83 degrees and not a cloud in the sky at Yankee Stadium in New York. First of 3 today on ESPN. So pull the TV out by the barbecue and have a ball. Coleman with a line drive to center field. Back goes Williams, has it all the way. And Bernie Williams hauls it in. He covers a lot of ground out there, and that'll give us a chance to set the defense for manager Buck Showalter's Yankees. Jim Leyritz behind the plate. Pettit, of course, pitching. Mattingly, Velarde, Fernandez, and Boggs, the infield. Deion James in left today. Bernie Williams in center. And Paul O'Neill in right. And Don Mattingly at first base.
Awful lot of talk about Mattingly, his back bothering him, which he really continues right onto his bat, not swinging it very well. But one thing about playing first base, if it's in the vicinity, he's going to catch it.
Here's Luis Sojo. Takes low, ball 1. Sojo, a good number 2 hitter. And no pitch.
Well, what happened there, Leyritz got his glove a little too close to Sojo in terms of when he brought the bat back, he hit the catcher's glove, so the umpire did him a little favor.
Dale Scott behind the plate today. Low, and right away, Pettit falls behind.
You ever play golf and you start your backswing and get your club hung up on the grass, but you go through it anyway, and it really messes up your shot? Well, that does happen to a hitter as well. You bring the bat back, it hits the catcher's glove, and it breaks your concentration a little bit.
You must have been with me yesterday. Called strike 1, 2 balls and 1 strike. Yankees doing well on this homestand, although they dropped a heartbreaker yesterday to the Oakland Athletics, 10-9 in extra innings. Here's a line drive single to right field. Luis Sojo is on, and the Mariners have hit 2 line drives off Andy Pettitte, who usually pitches, as I said, pretty well in Yankee Stadium. 3 complete games this year, 5-1 record.
Well, there is the home and road, and that's rather obvious. And your home ballpark, you get so used to being in the surroundings. Even days that you don't pitch, Tom, you're here every day, you get an idea, you watch your fellows out there, and there's the confidence builder as well. If you can pitch a decent game, and your bullpen will pick up for you at times, even though it's been a trouble spot for the Yankees this year, your team gets the last at bat. That's an advantage as well.
Now all eyes are on Ken Griffey Jr. Griffey, of course, in a recent series at the Kingdome, hit a 9th inning home run to beat the Yankees. First time he's ever done that, winning a game with a home run in the 9th inning. But truth be told, since coming back after his wrist injury, has not been hitting the ball all that well. And the count evens up at a ball and a strike. Since coming back, Jim, he has not been striking fear, at least literally, into the hearts of pitchers.
Well, he's had to play catch up a little bit, Tom. The thing is, his bat speed is not up to speed with the rest of the pitching in the league. And these guys, you know, the majority of the pitchers obviously been around the whole season. They're really geared into what's going on. And for Griffey, the bat speed is part of it, the timing as well. And as you just saw that last swing, that's not a true Griffey swing. Obviously, he was fooled, caught off guard, off balance. Everything went wrong at the same time.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Sojo on first, and 1 out here in the top of the first at Yankee Stadium. Leyritz setting up outside, trying to get the corner just off. 2-2. Mattingly holding Sojo on at first. Griffey pops one weakly to second base, and an easy second out as it fell right into the glove of Randy Velarde. So Griffey, whose wrist is a little bit swollen to not play yesterday, pops up for the second out.
Well, you're talking obviously about one of the best all-around players in the game, Tom, and what it proves is he's only human, that when you have an injury and you're out for 73 ball games, you do have to start all over again. So he will get to that point, obviously. I mean, it's just a matter of time, but I'm sure it's a little frustrating because Griffey is not used to failure.
That brings up Edgar Martinez, and what a season he is having, especially against the New York Yankees as he looks at ball 1 low and away. 365 average, slugging percentage, look at that, leading the major leagues in both categories, and oh yeah, 26 homers and 102 RBI. And he has 6 of those 26 home runs against the New York Yankees. 1 ball and 1 strike to him. Martinez, the only player in Major League Baseball with 100 RBIs, 100 runs scored, and 100 bases on balls already. Swing on a miss on an off-speed delivery from Pettitte. You got Griffey fishing for one of those too.
Well, when you watch a guy like Martinez and he has that stance built, and with his left foot actually on his toe, in a sense, the way he has the left heel off the ground, every hitter has a way to start their bat. With him, it's a little movement of the feet.
2-strike pitch. Down the left field line, and is it fair or foul? It is fair, and that is leaving the ballpark for the 27th time this year. Edgar Martinez, right down the left field line, takes a 1-2 pitch out of the yard.
Well,
2-0.
Sorry, Tom. You look for that timing mechanism, as I mentioned, and when he has his bat so high, I'm a believer in a hitter like that is geared to more of a breaking type pitch. Sure, you can't throw him all fastballs, but on occasion you have to set him up. But look at his left leg. He just kind of gears a little bit like a spring, and you might consider that a pretty good pitch. The ball was down, knees or below, But when you're geared into an off-speed pitch with kind of a long swing, you catch up to a pitch like that.
So Pennant and the Yankees are in an early hole, 2-0 on a 2-run homer by Edgar Martinez. It didn't appear he swung all that hard at the ball. Jay Buhner steps in. He's ahead of the count 1-0 and knocks one to shortstop. Fernandez gobbles it up. Over to Mattingly. So Pennant and the Yankees get Seattle off the field in the top of the first, but not without damage. We go to the home first here at Yankee Stadium. 2-0 Mariners. Welcome back to Yankee Stadium. Bottom of the first with Jim Rooker. I'm Tom Mees. 1st to 3 on Labor Day, and Buck Showalter's Yanks have a hole to climb out of. Let's take a look at the lineup they'll use to try and do that against right-hander Solomon Torres. Wade Boggs will lead off and, of course, be anchored at third base. Bernie Williams hitting second. Paul O'Neill, the right fielder, third. Ruben Sierra, the DH today in the cleanup spot. Deion James in left. Don Mattingly at first, hitting sixth. Jim Leyritz, the catcher, hitting seventh. Fernandez, the shortstop, hitting eighth. And Randy Velarde today at second base, hitting ninth. And there is the former San Francisco Giant, Solomon Torres.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up, because when Torres lost that game against the Dodgers a few years ago, the feeling, Tom, is that he hasn't totally recovered. And what that translates to is the confidence you take to the mound. He has pretty good stuff. You look at all of his pitches, fastball, curve, slider, change, all that sort of stuff. If he gets out there with an early lead, he's very confident. But when things start going bad, he can revert back to that one game that's really hurt him.
And the defense behind him: Martinez, Fermin, Soho, and Blowers in the infield. Coleman, Griffey, and Buhner in the outfield, and Chris Widger behind the plate. Torres making his 13th start. His one-loss record not impressive, 3-7. And here we go with the Yankees leadoff hitter Wade Boggs. .326 average. It's almost like ho-hum. Wade Boggs hitting over .325. There's talk about him maybe switching positions defensively here next year if Don Mattingly decides to go elsewhere. Boggs takes a strike. There's talk of that he may move him over to first base.
Well, if you could play third, you should be able to play first.
Line drive, single to center for Wade Boggs. 19 runs were scored in this park yesterday. We might have another one of those days.
Very possibly. Two very good hitting teams. The good news, Boggs is aboard. The bad news, he can clog up the bases. Unless you get a gapper, Tom, or something down the line. Boggs is a station-to-station type base runner, so he's really out of position in terms of the lineup when it comes to running the bases.
And I'll bring up Bernie Williams, center fielder, hitting just under the 300 mark. 15 home runs and 70 RBIs. Williams played in 119 games. He's in there just about every day. Looks at a called strike from Solomon Torres. Bernie Williams been tearing it up since the All-Star break. 344, 30 RBIs. O'Neill waits on deck. Hale Scott took his time but called it called strike two.
One thing you like to do is try to establish a pitch early, and for Torres, two pretty good fastballs to Williams. Now you get the hitter guessing a little bit. I'd love to see him triple up and throw another one right down the middle, but he probably won't.
Widger sets up outside, and this one is in the dirt. Williams didn't go fishing, and it's 1-2. Torres going today. Randy Johnson was slated, I think, when they left to come east to maybe pitch today. He will not pitch. In fact, he missed his last turn, will not pitch in this series. And Lou Piniella going with some youngsters. Torres has some experience, but he's going with some real raw kids in this series.
Well, one thing to keep in mind, when we talked about the Yankees pitching starting in the open, Tom, they are struggling. Now, you have one of the best lineups that you can throw out there. Lee Elia has said, he's the hitting coach for Seattle, he has said there's no question Cleveland has the best lineup top to bottom. They are very close to that lineup, so you can't afford to send somebody else out there that might give up 4, 5, 6 runs. Your ball club is good enough to make up for those mistakes, because Seattle can throw up some pretty good numbers as well.
1-2 to Williams. Hyde outside. 2-2. Boggs remains at first.
Now for Torres, even though it's early in the ball game, he's pitched himself back into a non-guessing situation for the hitter. You almost 99% right now have to think fastball. You have 2 runs that your team just gave you. You give up a leadoff single. The worst thing you can do right now is walk this next guy. So you have to throw a high percentage pitch, and that would be a fastball. Plus, I don't think you'd want to look in the dugout after you walk the number 2 hitter with Lou Piniella looking out at you right now.
And I don't think you want to look at Paul O'Neill up there with 2 on and nobody out.
Exactly.
So a crucial pitch here to Bernie Williams.
Yeah.
And he gets it by him, and there's 1 down. Challenged him, got away with it.
Well, every once in a while, you just have to say, all right, here it is. If you're good enough to hit it, then you have won the battle. Well, it looked like it had good movement to it. May have taken a little bit off. The good thing about it is no matter what you throw, if there's movement to the pitch, you have a chance.
So O'Neill is up with 1 out and 1 on. O'Neill, 19 home runs, 75 RBIs. Played in 102 of the Yankee ball games this year. Takes outside. Ruben Sierra, the designated hitter, waits in the on-deck circle. Two and 0 the count to O'Neill. You see Paul O'Neill's left arm as he waves the bat with the number 7 on it. Of course, that in tribute to the late Mickey Mantle. The Yankees will wear the number 7 along with a black armband on the left arm of their uniforms the rest of the season. 2 balls and 1 strike. And of course, the plaque in center field. A magnificent Yankee doesn't begin to tell the story of Mickey Mantle. 3-1 to count on O'Neill. I was fortunate. I was just a little kid when Mantle was playing, but I got to see some of his halcyon years. Every October, the Yankees are always in the World Series, and we always saw Mickey Mantle.
Well, I grew up in Southern California. We didn't have a big league team. That shows you how old I am. But as a Yankee and a Mick fan as well.
Boggs off on the pitch and fouling it off down the left field line is O'Neill. Yeah, they don't make players like that anymore. Mickey Mantle. Been a tough emotional year here in New York. Mantle passes away. Phil Rizzuto, a Hall of Famer as a player and also as a broadcaster, leaves the booth. Been a tough year here. Count has gone full to Paul O'Neill. Boggs off again. O'Neill line drive. This will be fair in the corner, and it's trouble. At least 2 for O'Neill. Buhner picks it up. And coming around to slide and beat the throw is Wade Boggs. Felix Fermin, the cutoff man, I thought did a nice job, but that ball was just too deep in the corner, and it's 2-1.
Well, you pitch yourself in somewhat of a jam by going 3-2. Boggs, although he doesn't run that well, as we mentioned, gets off with the pitch, so that's a huge advantage. An extra base hit. You figure it's going to be close at the plate. 2 pretty good throws, the relay throw, but Boggs just gets in ahead of the tag. You know, one thing he does well, though, Tom, even though he doesn't run that well, you notice how he will cut the corners on the bases, will not take that real wide swing, so he does save a few steps in that regard.
Nice throw by Buhner to the cutoff man Fermin. Widger was set up well, but you're right, going on the pitch helped Wade Boggs just beat the throw. So the tying run is now at second with 1 out as it's a 1-0 count to the designated hitter Ruben Sierra. Fireworks early on Labor Day afternoon at Yankee Stadium. Little bloop to left. This will drop. Here comes O'Neill. He's going to score, and the game is tied. Didn't sound too good, but it counts. Single to left for Sierra.
Watch the swing, how level it is. And when that tells you one thing is the ball is up in the strike zone. He didn't have to go down and get it. Sure, he did have to reach for it. But as a pitcher, the more you pitch up, the better the hitter sees the ball. and Sierra simply serves the ball out into left field. So Torres, he's making it tough for himself. Number one, pitching behind. Number two, the location not very well in this inning.
Left fielder Dion James steps up to the dish. .316 average on the year for Dion. In 152 appearances, takes a called strike one. Two-run homer for the Mariners by Edgar Martinez in the top of the first. The Yankees have answered with two of their own. Still only one out. High blooper out back at third base. Converging on it, making the play is the shortstop, Luis Sojo, and there's two gone.
Lou Piniella told us during batting practice, if Torres doesn't do the job, he has no long left-handers to work with. So you're looking at a left-handed, predominantly left-handed lineup, especially with the switch hitters in there. So you can't match up your bullpen to try and turn anybody around. All he has to work with, long-term anyway, out of his pen, are all right-handers. So that could be a tough way to go if Torres doesn't somehow stop the bleeding.
Well, it's not a hemorrhage yet, but there is a trickle of blood here in the first inning. Two outs. Sierra is still at first, and Don Mattingly. Mattingly had a big day yesterday with 3 base hits in that 10-9 loss in extra innings to Oakland.
That's a little redundant, but Torres again falling behind in the count. Early in the game, you might not think it's that important, but when you're down 2-0 and all of a sudden your club has come back and tied the game, and you have a guy out there continuing to pitch behind, it's just a tough way to try and pitch a ball game. And it's frustrating, I know, for Torres. He's not trying to do that, but I think, Tom, again, for a younger fella, he's trying to hit too many spots, trying to be too good with his pitches rather than challenge the hitters.
1-1 count to Mattingly. 2-2 game here in the bottom of the first. Off on the pitch is Sierra, and Mattingly grounds a single to center field, and Sierra trots on over to third. Beginning to look like a conga line on the base pass here in the first inning. That wasn't hit hard either, but it found a hole.
Well, Torres should have made the play. He saw the ball all the way, and this tells me a little bit that at times your head isn't totally in the game. Once you turn the ball loose, you become an infielder, and there are so many pitchers that are put at another level, Tom, because they do other things to help themselves. Fielding is one of them. In this league, you don't have to hit, but it's such a big part to field your position. That ball right back to Torres on his glove side, and he was caught totally off guard, wasn't ready to make the play at all.
Catcher Jim Leyritz steps in. Yankees runners at the corners, 2 out. 7 homers, 34 RBIs for the Yankee backstop. And again, falling behind early is Torres. This one well high, 2-0. Runners at third base for the Yankees. Ruben Sierra over at first, Don Mattingly. Both with singles in this so far 2-run uprising. Did he hold up? No. 2-1. Fastball down the middle. Leyritz lines it to right. Yankees have the lead. Right down Broadway, and this is the appropriate city to use that term, and Leyritz just sat on it.
Well, you wonder what point Lou might start. Well, now they are starting to move around down in the Seattle bullpen. Fastball, and you see Leyritz as he reaches for the pitch. Leyritz would rather pull the ball for power, but on occasion, you have a man over there at third base, a little base hit will get you an RBI, and with the lead, you've really been able to change this whole game around at this point. Momentum going from one direction to the other.
So the Yankees come from behind well, lead at 3-2, and still with a threat as Tony Fernandez steps in. Fernandez yesterday had a day he will always remember. Hit for the cycle. Only the first Yankee in 23 years to accomplish that. I believe you know the other guy who did that. He broke up a no-hitter of yours one time.
Not Horace Clark. No, don't say.
Oh, no, not Horace Clark. No, I stand corrected. He's in the Yankee broadcast booth
Oh,
today.
Bobby.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bobby Mercer.
Well, he was part of that game, too.
Yeah. Oh, one pinch is in the dirt to Fernandez. There's the guy. Now, where did he fit in? You had a no-hitter going to the ninth.
Well, Horace Clark got a single in the bottom of the ninth. I was leading 1-0. Mercer tied it with a base hit, a double actually, and then I lost it in the 12th, 2-1. Some of those things you can't forget.
High and tight to Fernandez. Count goes 2-1.
Even though the inning has worked out well, obviously, for the Yankees, and I mentioned Wade Boggs at the top of the order, I like Fernandez in that spot as well. He's a switch hitter. He can hit with some power. He can do an awful lot, and he has probably better speed overall than Wade Boggs.
3-1, and Solomon Torres is going to lose a few calories here in the first inning.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, Tom, when things are going well, and there's the ball strike and the total, when things are going well, he becomes more aggressive, and he should have done that from the get-go with a 2-0 lead going into the bottom of the inning. But he falls behind, then he starts picking. Now they have some runs, and it's just like your confidence going right down the drain.
And an early visit from the pitching coach to the mound.
Usually when a pitcher struggles in a first inning like this, you'll see more walks in an inning, but this being the first walk so far.
There's Bob Wells, right-hander already up in the bullpen, and as you said, no left-handed options to speak of today for Lou Piniella.
Well, his option right now, and you're hoping that's what's happening out on the mound. You try to turn things around and build confidence in that fellow out there. Say some positive things to him. Throw strikes. Get ahead of the hitter. You don't try to confuse him too much with mechanical stuff. It appears that Torres is throwing well enough, but you just can't get big league hitters out consistently if you pitch behind in the count.
Well, Bobby Cuellar, the pitching coach, had a few words with Solomon Torres. And now the base is loaded for second baseman Randy Velarde. High strike gets the call. 0-1. Velarde is one of those guys I think can be valuable on any team. You can stick him in almost at any position. And he hits well over a short period of time. He can really get hot. Swings and misses that fastball. I think he's a guy that every team should have one of those fellas.
Well, managers love those kinds of players. And as you say, over a long haul, he won't do it with the bat, but you find the spots for him, you match him up with certain pitchers, and you plug him in and say, go play.
275 average for Velarde. 0-2 to him. Fouls that one off. One of the few times Torres has been well ahead of the count. It's not an excruciatingly hot day, but it is 83 degrees at game time, and Torres well over 30 pitches now. Mariners come in, as we said at the beginning of our telecast, in a practical tie with Kansas City in the wild card race. Yankees 2 behind them. I think this could be a key batter not only in the inning, obviously, but in this game for Torres.
Well, if you don't get him out, let's say he walks and you just get one run out of it, you have Wade Boggs who could come up next, and he could just break the game wide open. You can't let the Yankees get out to a huge lead.
Just missed timing that fastball. There's Wade Boggs hoping to get up for the second time here in the first inning. Edgar Martinez gave Seattle a 2-0 lead with a home run right down the left field line in the top of this inning, which seems about an hour ago. The Yankees have since rung up 3 and are hoping for more.
That's but how many times do you see a pitcher that struggles out there on close pitches? You won't get the strike. or the pitch. 36th pitch Torres has thrown so far in the inning. That is mucho. That's about 3 innings of work on a normal day.
2-2 to Velarde. Swing and a miss, and he got him. So Torres, the irony, gets 2 of the 3 outs by way of the strikeout, but gives up 3 after 1. Yankees lead it 3-2. Back in a moment. Beautiful day here at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, New York, and a lot of activity for 1 inning. 3-2 the Yankees as we go to the second. Reminder, this is the first of a Labor Day tripleheader on ESPN at 4 Eastern time or thereabouts. We'll be going to the Astrodome as the Reds and Astros meet. The Reds are in good shape as far as the postseason. The Astros are still in that National League wild card fight. And then later on this evening at 9 o'clock Eastern, at 6 o'clock Pacific time, the Phillies and the LA Dodgers from Dodger Stadium. Both those teams are in the National League wild card fight. The Dodgers still think they have a great chance to win the NL West.
Well, with their pitching, it always comes down to that, Tom. With their pitching, they do have an excellent chance.
There's a former Dodger, Darryl Strawberry, not in the starting lineup today. Mike Flowers leads it off for Seattle here in the second. Andy Pettitte had a nice rest on that Yankee bench, and he's low and away with ball 1. Flowers, one of a few ex-Yankees on this team, including the manager, Lou Piniella. Swing and a miss. Flowers, we understand, traded for pitcher Jim Blumberg, one of the immortals. I think Seattle got the best of that deal. One delivery and the whoop. Nope, I see it. Say it is ball 2. I thought it was low anyway. I guess the question was, did he go around?
Well, this is a good angle. And your first base umpire, now that's some strength right there, Tom, because there aren't too many hitters that can start a swing like Flowers and be able to hold up.
Foul back to even the count.
I'll tell you, the best in my mind that ever was Frank Robinson. I mean, the way he held the bat, he would start his swing, and when he would get it to a certain point, he would loop the ball right back to, or the bat right back to his chest. And there were times he would go around, but he would do it so quickly that you just couldn't pick it up.
Robinson used to stand with that stance where his head would be right over the plate. And a called strike 3 to Flowers. He had no chance to move the bat anywhere that time. 1 gone.
Usually the big hitters consistently will look away because they like to extend the arms and drive the ball. So here you give the pitcher credit. If anything, that ball might have been low. So there's a case we talked about earlier with Torres. Struggling, not throwing strikes. He doesn't get the marginal pitches. Here, you have the other fellow out there more over the plate, so he's getting a pitch.
And I'll bring up Tino Martinez, and he's one of the, I guess what you could call the Bash Boys in Seattle. Tino, few people know about Edgar, even though he plays in Seattle, but Tino Martinez has 27 home runs and 90 RBI.
I love his swing. Of course, anybody would with the kind of numbers that he puts up, but you watch his initial move toward the pitcher. He's one of those left-handers that hangs in there pretty well against left-handed pitching. He doesn't bail out. He stays right on the ball.
Tino Martinez, lifetime, loves to play against the Yankees as well, hitting .314 lifetime, and does have 4 home runs against New York pitching this year. 2-1, and here goes the ball into shallow left field, and it's going to drop for a base hit. Dropped in front of Deion James. Nothing you can do about that. 1 on and 1 out.
You have a guy like Martinez, and it goes with the other big hitters as well. Number one, you have to respect their power. So you give them a little room, and when you hear the ball off the bat of the stronger hitters, your initial reaction is, wait a minute, did he get into that one or not? So sometimes you get a late break, and there's really not much you can do about it.
That'll bring up rookie catcher Chris Widger. He's 24 years old. Made 8 starts behind the plate before today and caught a shutout in his first major league start, 1st of July against Texas. Chris Widger. Shot down the third base line, just foul. Evens the count to Widger. Mariners have 3 games here in New York. Then they go for one of those weird 1-game road trips to Cleveland in the strike-shortened season before they go back home to Seattle. And they have 21 or 14 of their last 21 games at home in the Kingdome. Two and one to Widger. Felix Fermin on deck. I think it's amazing Seattle's been able to stay in the race when you consider how long Griffey was out.
Well, that's where, in my opinion, Lou Piniella should get more credit than he does. When you can hold your club together, and again, you have a pretty good lineup to work with, but it's the pitching that will suffer as well. Let's not forget what an outfielder Ken Griffey is. How many times do you see him go to the wall? I mean, there's not very many outfielders around that can save you as many extra bases. He will keep doubles into singles. He'll pull balls off the wall and keep them in the ballpark. So that adds up too, and it really gives your pitcher an awful lot of confidence. So Lou, you know, all the attention for the most part always goes to your players, but the manager is a big part of that, and he's done a great job.
This could be 2. Fernandez starts it. And Widger, not bad speed for a catcher, although that was a slow developing play. Widger beats it out. Velarde's relay just a bit too late.
You watch Fernandez come on. Well, here's a play at second base. The shovel toss that he gave to Velarde, he really couldn't get an awful lot on it. You see the little kind of a flip there, and it's just not the same. Velarde does a pretty good job. You see how he protected himself with the bag, made the runner have to go over the bag to try and take him out. So it's a good job of self-defense as well to not get taken out of the double play or the possibility.
2 outs for Felix Fermin, and quickly Pettit goes over the first, and Widger, he may not have seen a move like that in a while.
Well, you know, Pettit really doesn't have a real good move as he looks at the runner and then he looks at the plate. You watch the difference most of the time. When a left-handed pitcher looks to the plate, more times than not, he'll go to first. When he looks at the runner as he brings the leg up, he will come to the plate. You watch him do that a couple of times, and you have him zeroed in.
You saw that graphic. Pettit is zeroed in as far as picking runners off the bag, leading the league. This one, a one-hopper to Pettit, and that'll do it for the Mariners here in the second. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left. We go to the bottom of the second, 3-2 New York. Welcome back to Yankee Stadium. With Jim Rooker, I'm Tom Mees. Bottom of the second inning. Yankees and Mariners locked up in a good one. Yankees had their way with Solomon Torres in the first. Let's see if it continues here in the second as Wade Boggs leading off for the second inning in a row. You know, this guy amazes me, Jimmy. He had 3 hits yesterday for the 17th time this season. He just rolls on and on and on.
You watch as his approach to hitting is so relaxed. You see some movement at the plate with Boggs. He keeps his hands going all the time to get his bat started, but he's so relaxed at the plate, and if there's ever a hitter around that hits the pitch where it's thrown, it's Wade Boggs. He just takes what you give him. On occasion, you make a mistake, he'll turn on you and ride one out of the ballpark.
And he gets tired of waiting. Following up that 3 hit stat, that's 17 times this year, 196 in his career. Here's the 1-1 to Boggs. Well outside for ball 2. And he has marvelous looking shades on as well. Maybe that's the secret. It's very stylish up there. I'm sorry. Torres asking for trouble now, down 3-1.
Well, that might have been the best fastball he's thrown so far today. He really cut that one loose, but again, it doesn't really matter if you don't throw it over the plate.
Oh, Boggs got that call. That was borderline. It's the ball 4 and goes for a walk. So Boggs has been on both times he's appeared at the plate today. Look at the location on this thing.
Well, if anything, and I say with anything, if anything, the pitch might have been low. But what surprises me is Widger, the catcher, as he gave the sign, Tom, he slid a little bit on the outside part of the plate. With the way Torres is throwing right now, in my opinion, the best thing to do is give the target right down the middle. The ball won't end up there because he has movement on his pitches. So start it at the center of the plate and take your chances.
Bernie Williams, he struck out swinging in the first inning. Takes a called strike one.
The majority of your pitchers, they love the sign and location. It doesn't matter what you're throwing, fastball, curve, slider, they want location so you concentrate. But when you have a guy that's struggling out there, location, you can't give him location on the corners. See, as you see Widger slide out like that, you have a guy struggling, and it appears to me that Torres is throwing easily in the low 90s. Throw it down the middle. At least give him that target down the middle. And there's such good movement on his fastball. As I said, it won't stay there. And take your chances. Find out if these guys, if the Yankees can catch up with that fastball.
So the first Boggs back in plenty of time, and it appeared as we watched Widger that he was again setting up or getting ready to set up on the outside. Watch after he gives the signal. Don't know why they'd be preoccupied with Wade Boggs at first in this situation.
Now you remember in the first inning they started Boggs, but that was on a 3-2 pitch and after 1 out. So at this point you want to concentrate on the hitter more than the base runner.
1-1 to Williams. Swings and a line drive into the stands. That's why they tell you to be alert, and a fan made a great catch there. That's pretty good without a glove. That thing had a lot of mustard on it.
Making the play to stay alive.
And the usher coming over to check and make sure everything's still in one piece. And the youngster gets the baseball. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Bernie Williams. Williams had a good day yesterday, going 2 for 5. Foul ball is the call. Count stays 1-2. Of course, that's emblematic of what Williams did the prior month in August. When you're tied with Mike Piazza in any category, that ain't bad.
Oh, I'll say. In a normal season, it's around August and into September when players start getting tired. But let's not forget that the season started later, that a lot of what's happening, most players at this point are into their July mode.
Williams getting by the diving second baseman Fermin, and that'll move Boggs up to second. So line drive single to center by Bernie Williams, and Solomon Torres sailing into troubled waters again here in the second inning. 2 on and nobody out, and here comes Paul O'Neill.
Too many pitches, too many long counts. The hitter gets to see so many pitches, eventually he's going to time it. Nice job by Williams. Boggs had to hold up for a moment and make sure that ball wasn't going to get caught.
So Lou Piniella doing some understandable pacing in the Mariner dugout. Paul O'Neill, he doubled, knocking in the first Yankee run in the first inning. Right back to the box. This will be a single to center. They're waving Boggs around third. He will score. The throw is to third. Williams is safe. Throw gets by, and Williams will come home. 5-2. Yankee lead, and still nobody out.
Among other things, Torres struggles and then fails to do a fundamental thing, which is to back up third base. Griffey will get an error on this play for trying to make it, but there you see Torres late getting over there. He has to be in position, Tom. If you're not having a good day on the mound, that's one thing, but you have to try and do the other things that shows you're out there working and thinking a little bit. He just got caught sleeping. Now the umpires are going to have a little conference behind the mound, I'm assuming, to make sure that the runner is awarded. Well, they're letting O'Neill go to third base. 1 base from the mound, 2 bases from the field.
And here comes Lou Piniella out for an explanation. Explain that rule to me once again to the fans, Jim. Why they're giving the extra base to O'Neill?
A mound is, for example, a pitch from the mound. You get one base if it bounces in the dugout. From the field, it's 2 bases.
And Lou not making any signs that he disagrees with the explanation yet. I don't think he's going to like it no matter what. Well, the ruling on that is a single up the middle for O'Neill. He does get the 1 RBI. The second run scores. They're giving out an error to Ken Griffey Jr. on the throw.
Now, that's always the case, and it's really kind of unfair because the outfielder is doing what he's supposed to do. Try to get that runner at third. He had no chance at the plate. So you try to get the runner at third, and it was a little bit offline. You saw Blowers try to hang in there as long as he could, but realized the throw was offline and then couldn't come up with it. So if you have your pitcher backing up over there as he's supposed to, there's no error charge. But that frustrates an outfielder. Here, he's busting his tail, trying to help you out, trying to pick you up a little bit and throw a runner out, but you have to do your job too.
Well, Solomon Torres did not do the job. Bobby Ayala will enter for the Seattle Mariners. Torres doesn't get out of the second inning. The Yankees have 5 runs and are threatening for more. Back to Yankee Stadium in a moment.
The Cleveland Indians in Detroit this afternoon to face the Tigers. That's Carlos Baerga at the plate, who just slices this one to left field. It bounces right off the chalk, stays in there. Vizquel was on first. He's trotting around at third, but then the throw gets away. Nevin is charged with an error, and Vizquel just has to trot home with a run. The Indians right now with a 2-zip lead over the Tigers. Tom and Jim.
Thank you, John. As back here at Yankee Stadium, Solomon Torres, Jim Rooker, has had better days. He's going to have a pitching line he will not want to write home about.
No, he won't. And a major job for Bobby Ayala. Kind of an interesting situation here in that Ayala had been the closer, but Lou Piniella brings him in a ball game right now. They have to figure out a way to get Ayala back on track. He has really been struggling lately. So in a situation right here, you try to turn it around. Nobody out, a mess of trouble. Try to save that run and give him a few innings. Maybe that'll help him get back on track.
Ayala enters the game with Paul O'Neill on third. There is still nobody out. 2 runs in the inning and 5 in the game. The Yankees, who fell behind 2-0 top of the first, have established a 3-run lead here in the second. Sierra, there you see his line, singled and scored in that first inning. And right away, Ayala's in a hole.
Well, and if the pattern holds, Tom, you'll see a base on balls here. That has been Bobby Ayala's problems. He hasn't been able to pitch in front. He's been getting behind too many people. He comes in a ball game, he walks 1-2 batters, and he gets himself in a mess.
3-0 the count to Sierra, with Deion James waiting on deck. And a called strike. Sierra tried to beg himself a walk, but no. Well, Solomon Torres officially went 1 inning. Now, he still has the runner he's responsible for at third base. That's O'Neill. Through 48 pitches, he's given up 7 hits, 5 runs. The book will be closed on him after this inning with O'Neill at third. And Sierra finally does work a walk.
Well, it's a pitcher's nightmare when you have a line like that. You only get to start once, maybe twice a week, depending on where your number falls. But when you go out and you prepare in between starts, you get that time to go out there, and you just get into the second inning. It's one of the worst kinds of outings that you can have. And for a young pitcher, a little more destructive than a fellow that's been around. It's going to happen during the course of your career, but earlier it's just a little more difficult to accept.
Deion James popped out to the shortstop in the first inning. Luis Sojo made that catch in shallow center field behind, shallow left field behind third base. And low outside for ball 1.
Well, they're looking for the double play. Seattle, the worst in the American League at turning the double play. They've only turned 94.
Good heat on that one. Swung through it to Deion James. Count evens of 1-1.
And the number 1 team in the American League, Milwaukee. A lot of that goes into the type of pitching you have, too. You have people that keep the ball down, get the ball on the ground, but as we've mentioned earlier, Lou Piniella using some rookies, and at times when you try to pitch for double plays, and the veterans they know more how to do that. Plus, Andy Bennett's coming over here. He's what you call a fly ball pitcher anyway. A couple others.
Here's the 2-1 to Deion James. Fouls it back. Count even at 2-2. Mattingly waits on deck. Two and two, the count to James. O'Neill takes the lead off third, and James down the first base line. It's a fair ball. O'Neill will trot in to score easily. Coming over to third is Sierra. And even though he didn't have to slide, Deion James gives it the old showbiz routine and slides into second with a double. And the hits just keep on coming, as the old DJs used to say. It's now a 6-2 game.
Well, James a little bit off balance, just a little bit. Now watch Martinez. He thinks it's a foul ball because his glove ends up in foul territory. I think that's what fooled Martinez as he looked up at the umpire. Now Lou's out there, and Piniella has a pretty good angle from the dugout where he stands. He can look right down the first base line. Very close call, but as you see, the first base umpire, Jim McKeon, who is the crew chief, right on top of it.
So the Yankee assault continues on Seattle pitching. Don Mattingly getting set to step into the box. And when a fan comes to the Yankee Stadium in September, Jim, he might be wondering, if he doesn't come to a lot of games, is this the last game I'm going to see Mattingly in person? There's been talk here in New York.
Well, you hope not, because he would look strange in anything else but a New York uniform. But I think Mattingly is a little frustrated. He has made comments, but I think he's been frustrated here in New York with the way things are going.
You see by his average with runners in scoring position having a dramatic drop this year. Of course, he's been nursing back injuries since '87. And I don't think he's all too pleased, really, if you believe what he says in the papers, with the state of Major League sports, and baseball included in that. He says it's not that much fun anymore for him. Count evens out to 1-1. Mattingly, lots been made. He's never been in postseason play despite a great career here in New York. And a lot of folks believe if the Yankees do make it, that maybe he'll step back from some of the recent statements he's made. Infield in for Mattingly. This will go foul. And some of the statements I mentioned in the press, one of which drew headlines in the New York tabloid press here last week. With Mattingly, he was asked the question, would you ever go play in Japan if the Yankees didn't re-sign you? He says, I'd consider it. Sure, why wouldn't I? Of course, they blow that up, and he's going to be on the next flight to Tokyo.
Yeah, well, you have to keep in mind you are in New York, and they're going to play up and probably overstate a lot of comments that are made.
Infield remains in. And Mattingly takes a swing at one in the dirt. And the throw to first to complete the strikeout. Two gone. Rather, one gone here in the second.
Well, Ayala has been using a lot of hard stuff on Mattingly. He didn't get around on the previous pitch, and then he gets the off-speed pitch that is in the dirt. That's a nice play by Widger, stopping that ball in front of him. You get Mattingly looking for the hard stuff, and then you throw him that other pitch and get him off balance. You know, just to take it a little bit farther, you know, people say, well, Mattingly's played so long and hasn't been in postseason. Well, there are a lot of guys that have played this game and haven't been in postseason. So, you know, Don Mattingly is a special player, but he's no different in that regard, that he's not the only guy that's gone through that.
With an open base, Ayala is walking intentionally Jim Leyritz. Leyritz singled in that first inning. So Leyritz will be given an intentional pass to load the bases for Tony Fernandez.
Now, this is another one of those things that make you go, because you're passing a percentage situation up to go a little bit against the grain. You're walking a right-hander to pitch to a left-handed hitter. Actually, he's a switch hitter, but batting left-handed now. And, you know, is it the case that Piniella is hoping for the double play ball to try and get out of the mess? But Tony Fernandez, I mentioned earlier, has pretty good speed, and he's a good contact hitter. So this is a case of Ayala been around a little bit as an idea. So getting the ground ball and hoping that his defense will do the job for him.
Let's see how this move works out for Lou Piniella. Of course, we mentioned earlier, Fernandez, all he did yesterday was hit for the cycle. He walked in his first appearance against Torres, and he looks at ball one low. Ayala's going to have to come into him here with the bases loaded. And one gone. 6-2 New York in the second inning. First of 3 today on ESPN. Ball 2. And now the crowd will get into it and try and razz the pitcher, Ayala. Called strike by Scott. 2-1. Sierra at third, James at second, Larrett's on first, and a pop-up here. This will be the second out of the inning. Blowers came in, put down the shades, and made the catch to keep it a 6-2 game.
Well, if you don't get the double play, this is one of your other options, the other two, strike out or pop up. Keep the ball out of play or in the infield. So that's a nice job by Ayala, again coming with something off speed. We got Mattingly and now Fernandez.
Infield fly rule, of course, was in effect on that.
If fair.
If fair, that's right.
There you go.
Velarde now, the bases loaded and 2 outs.
I love it. You can't hear it from up here, but that's what the umpires will yell on a play like that. They go up with the arm and they'll say the batter is out if fair. They tell everybody else down there.
But us. Yeah. Swing and a miss. 1 ball and 1 strike. Velarde struck out his first time up against Torres to end the first inning. Yankees had the bases full at the end of the first inning. They have them full here with 2 outs in the second. Base hit now would really break open this ball game. And this one gets away from Widger, coming down the line and scoring easily is Ruben Sierra. The other runners move up. Wild pitch is the ruling against Ayala. That thing took off. Widger never had a chance. 7-2.
Well, watch the way Widger goes after the ball. He does slide to his right, but look how he backhands the glove. He shovels it over. You see, it's a little easier. Not that he would make the catch, Tom, but if you drop the glove over like you're trying to make a backhanded catch, you have a little bit of a chance. You cut down your range when you try to move your arm as he did. You don't have as much flexibility.
Velarde looks at strike 2 in the inside corner. Yankees with 3 in the bottom of the first, 4 so far here in the second. Solomon Torres, pitching line, 1 inning, gave up a total of 6 runs, all of them earned. Weekly hit ground ball to second. And the third out of the inning is recorded. After 2 innings here at Yankee Stadium, New York on top, 7-2. Back in a moment. Welcome back to Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. The first of 3 today on ESPN. The Yankees right now mauling the Seattle Mariners 7-2. I'm Tom Mees along with Jim Rooker. Coming up later this afternoon from the Astrodome in Houston. Critical game for the Houston Astros as they entertain the Cincinnati Reds. And later on tonight at 9 Eastern time, there's the Reds Astros at 4. Scheduled start at 4. Later on at 9, the Phillies and the Dodgers. Philadelphia winning a big game in San Diego yesterday. The Dodgers winning as well. They're involved in all sorts of scenarios, those two. Well, Andy Pettitte can't complain about a lack of support today. He's got 7 runs as he steps to the rubber for the start of the 3rd inning. And Vince Coleman takes a look at ball 1. Mariners got to try and climb back in this thing. Coleman flew out to center field his first time up.
Well, they need base runners, and for Vince Coleman, get on any way you can. It translates into walks at times, which throughout his career has not done enough. Bunting, which he just tried to do. And I think finally at this point in his career, Tom, he's finally wised up to that. Earlier, his average could probably be 20 or 30 points higher career-wise if he would have bunted more often.
Was that a function of the fact when he broke in it was on AstroTurf?
Well, part of it, here, some guys have an ego. They think I'm a better hitter than that. You go back to the years of the Dodgers. Willie Davis would never bunt. He said, I'm too good of a hitter to bunt. But this guy, I mean, when you have speed, get on any way you can to use that.
Definitely a lost art of the game, bunting. Now, Vince Coleman, of course, broke into Major League Baseball with the St. Louis Cardinals. Remember those days when he got on first, you automatically made it a double in your scorecard because you knew he was going and you couldn't do anything about it.
Well, Lou Brock, I think, described him at one time with great words. He said, this guy is an entrepreneur of the base paths. And that, again, translates into taking the chance, taking the risk of trying to do what he does so well. And
Coleman,
it was
ooh, he fouled it off his foot or some part of his leg. That hurts. Coleman is in a lot of pain. Let's see if we can, on the replay, determine exactly where he hit himself.
like right on the instep.
You ever done that?
Yes, I have.
How bad does it really hurt?
Well, it's so hard to. I'll try to give you an explanation as close as I can, and that is if you were to take a hammer, just take a hammer and hit yourself in the foot, not as hard as you can, but as hard as you can without breaking a bone. That's how much it hurts. Have you ever kicked anything? Have you ever been mad enough to really kick something?
Yes,
and afterwards you say to yourself, you dummy, the pain that occurred, well, that's close.
Yeah.
That's pretty close.
Yeah, it's been known to happen.
It's kind of a term that is misleading when it says he fouls the ball off the foot. Actually, you drive the ball into your foot because the ball's heading to the catcher and you're putting it in another direction and actually driving it down into your foot. So it's really somewhat of a glancing blow, but at the same time, you are just turning the ball into another direction, and it's not a pitch that's going 80 that slows down to 30. It may be going 80 but hits you at 78.
You know, the worst part about doing something like that, you can't blame anybody but yourself.
Right.
You can't get mad at the pitcher. You can't get mad at anybody. Coleman swings and misses. The ball drops, but Larritz picks it up and tags him. So Vince Coleman, a painful at bat in every way, shape, and form.
Well, I've always had a theory. When a fellow fouls the ball into his foot, come back in that same area and see if he will go after it. The previous pitch somewhere in that area, and you see that Pettit, whether it's Pettit or his catcher, Jim Larritz, that decides to back it or double up on Coleman. They come back with the same pitch.
That'll bring up shortstop Luis Sojo. He singled in the first inning, came around to score on Edgar Martinez's 27th home run of the season. Two and all the count quickly to Sojo. Ken Griffey Jr. in the on-deck circle. Line drive gets past the third baseman. Wade Boggs got a bit of leather on it, and here goes Sojo to second, and he'll go in standing up. That was a bullet right down the third base line. Boggs almost made a spectacular play.
Now, Ken Griffey, you see the tape on the bat, and the part of the bat farther away from the handle. Well, in the first at bat, he used a different one. Maybe it was uncomfortable. What they tried to do in batting practice was get more of a cushion on the upper part where his left hand is, and that's the hand that he injured. The reason for that was they needed it thicker so he could get a better grip. So perhaps that first at bat, which was not a good one, he had some bad swings, he's using a different bat. Well, number one, he broke that other one, and apparently they haven't been able to get another one ready for him, but they should have. But maybe he just feels comfortable with something that he's used to doing, because it is a different feeling when you experiment a little bit.
0-1 to Griffey. Inside for ball one. Griffey has a sore wrist. He did miss yesterday's game against Baltimore. And in the last 11 games, Griffey has not been lining it up. He did have a well-publicized homer against the Yanks, but all told, he's 5 out of 41 since coming back off the disabled list. This one in the dirt and outside, 2-1. That being said, there's nobody in that Seattle lineup I would like more to avoid than Ken Griffey Jr. Especially with the runner on base.
Well, the worst part about the injury, other than the fact that he hurt himself, what he does the best is swing the bat. And when you have that kind of an injury, you are just totally shut down, period. There's nothing you can do to exercise your hands or anything else to get ready.
Lazy fly ball to lefty on James. Camps under it. 2 gone.
Let's go.
So Griffey goes to the dugout, but the trouble, the peril, if you will, isn't over for Andy Pettit, because Edgar Martinez, who lined one down the left field line and into the seats for a 2-run homer, steps up. The 7th home run this season for Martinez against the Yankees. That distinctive batting stance, high over the head, outside for ball 1. It was Martinez that most people say carried this club, while Griffey was on the disabled list.
Well, you win with 25 and you lose with 25 when they're out there, and you every once in a while, on occasion, the other guys have to step it up a little bit, and that really, you should tip your hat to this Seattle ball club, because automatically when he went down, when Griffey went down, Tom, everybody figured, well, that's it, we're history. But they've had team meetings. They've been able to get out in the open their feelings, play hard. As Jay Buhner said, we go out there and throw our guts, spill our guts on the field every day.
Called strike to Edgar Martinez. Count goes to 1-2. Top of the 3rd inning, 7-2 Yankees. Soho on second for Seattle with 2 gone. The 1-2 to Edgar Martinez. Fouls it back. If Martinez played in New York, would he be an MVP favorite?
Oh, no question about it. Seattle's never been in the playoffs. They're still trying to establish their organization, just trying to establish something. Hey, guys, we play in this league, too. But when you don't get the attention, it's a shame it happens that way. The people in baseball, the players, know what Martinez is made of and what a great player and hitter he is.
And an excellent job by Andy Pettit. Gets Martinez that time. Swing and a miss. And so the Mariners go quietly here in the 3rd. It is still a 7-2 Yankee lead.
Kellogg's presents the K Factor. Look at the team best per 9-inning strikeouts. The Seattle Mariners, it helps when Randy Johnson's part of your staff. They're number 1 on the list. But look at the New York Yankees, number 4. These two teams battling right now. Let's get back to that game, Tom and Jim.
All right, John, and speaking of strikeouts, you know, Randy Johnson just needs a few more innings to qualify, and his stats will make him the best of all time strikeout ratio per 9 innings. And there is the man they call the unit. He's resting for a while. He may have some problems in his elbow or shoulder.
Well, they had him throw long toss, and Lou Piniella wasn't sure. The best case scenario was that he'll get him into this weekend series against Kansas City. Worst case, Lou didn't want to talk about it. So it's kind of a wait and see.
Well, we're going to have to talk about a new left fielder for Seattle. That is Alex Diaz. Vince Coleman out of the lineup. He fouled that pitch off his foot and just couldn't go anymore. So Diaz, just coming up from AAA Tacoma, is now left field. He hit, well, not too well, 222 with Tacoma. And now here he is in left field in Yankee Stadium. So the Mariners not having a day that they'd like to talk about. They took 2 out of 3 in Baltimore, and they took 2 out of 3 in Boston. They go 4-2 coming into New York. Wade Boggs leading off an inning for the 3rd time today. Yankees batted around at each of the first 2. Oh, 2 to Wade Boggs. Bobby Ayala beginning his 2nd inning for Seattle. Outside for ball 1. Boggs singled and scored in the 1st, walked and scored in the 2nd. Count evens up. Yankees win today. They'll be a game behind Seattle in the wild card standings. Of course, Kansas City will have something to say about the overall picture later on today. Tops one down to first base, rolls foul. Bat boy coming out to check Wade Boggs' bat. Seems to be okay. All those great years in Boston for Wade Boggs. Going to be ironic. The Yankees did make it and they met Boston in the playoffs.
I'd love to see it.
Yankees in Boston on Sunday night. Baseball next Sunday here at Yankee Stadium. Boggs to right field. This will go to the corner. This is at least 2. Boggs thinking about 3. Gets the stop sign though. Fans wanted him to go, but you're up 7-2. No need to get greedy. Wade Boggs now 2 for 2, and he's been on base all 3 times.
Well, Wade Boggs is never a defensive type hitter, but there are 2 strikes. What you do is cut down your stroke a little bit. Just try to hit the ball where it's pitched, and that looked like it was going to be out of the strike zone. But as most left-handed hitters are, Boggs obviously a tremendous low ball hitter, and he just serves that ball down the line. Now Piniella goes out to have a little chat with Ayala. Most of the time when your manager goes out, it's instructions. The pitching coach goes out. At times it'll be mechanics. Obviously you try to encourage that fellow out there, but when your manager goes out and talks to you, it's usually some just straight on instructions in terms of if you're not throwing the ball well enough, he will just look you right in the eye and say, all right, start throwing the ball, let it go, throw the ball over the plate, those types of things.
Warming up Jim Messier in the Seattle bullpen. He also a recent call-up from AAA Tacoma. Just called up about 3 days ago. So Lou Piniella with a patchwork pitching staff coming into the series. A critical juncture for the Mariners. They want to come home and they want to make a real race out of it this year, because 2 weeks from tomorrow there's a vote in King County about whether or not to build a new stadium for the Seattle Mariners, and the common thought is that that vote goes down, thumbs down, this team might move. All that's in the future. Oh, 1 to Bernie Williams, fouls it off yet again. Just to remind you, if you're not aware, of course, they play in the Kingdome, and there's some ceiling tiles that fell off and needed to be repaired. Of course, that was last year. The Seattle Mariners, but they spent, what, a month and a half or a couple months on the road? And that building is just not functional, according to the Mariners. It doesn't provide enough revenue streams and whatever, and they want to build a new stadium out there. But they're going to have to get the voters' approval to do it.
I'll tell you the stadium that scares me, and that's Olympic Stadium in Montreal.
Really?
A couple of years ago, they had that huge piece of concrete fall off the edge or the side of it, whichever it was, and of course the Expos had to play the last month and a half on the road, and I don't know, it just seems every time I would go to that ballpark, I was a little bit worried.
Williams tops one, it goes foul. You're worried? You're sitting there in the broadcast booth, Jim? You're in the sanctity of the broadcast booth, and you're worried?
There's so much concrete around you and above you, and you know they have that giant claw or whatever it was from center field that draws that top up, and I would do a game there, Tom, and my eyes half on the field and half on the claw, because I have a feeling someday that thing's coming down. There's been a lot of talk up there about inferior products used in building that thing.
Well, they call it Drapeau's Folly in Montreal. It was built for the 1976 Olympics. Mayor Jean Drapeau made sure it got built in time, not necessarily to code. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Bernie Williams.
Not necessarily.
Just get it done.
Yes, they don't know now, and they'll never know how much that cost. The people of Canada have no clue how much money went into that.
Maybe John Saunders knows. We'll go back to him in a moment. Native of Montreal.
There you go. I hope he does. I'd love to know. A lot of people might want to know.
3-2 the count to Bernie Williams. Williams struck out in the first, singled and scored in the second. It's been a long but very pleasant afternoon for the Yankees and their fans here at Yankee Stadium already. Not so pleasant for Lou Piniella. He spent many good days in this park as a member of the Yankees. Full count pitch to Williams. Chokes up on the bat. Lines one into the gap in right center. Can Griffey get there? No. Bounces over him. Another run will come around. And look at Bernie Williams. Stand up triple. No. He's going to slide, but he didn't need to. Oh, and Bernie Williams gets those legs going in full flight. It's a pretty sight. Ken Griffey just couldn't get to this ball.
For a moment, he thought he had a chance for it, Tom. In fact, he broke more in and across and then realized that he had to cut back a little bit. And it wasn't that he overran the ball. In readjusting there, the ball hits that soft grass and just pops straight up for him. And as he goes by, the run scores without a problem, but it's a 3-base hit instead of a 2-base hit.
And that'll be all for Mr. Ayala for the Seattle Mariners. 8-2 is the score at Yankee Stadium. Back with more in a moment.
First inning, Brewers and the Twins, and the bases are loaded for John Jaha. And for the Brewers this year, it's been automatic. You load them up, you knock out a grand slam. For Jaha, his 16th home run of the year, his 3rd grand slam, the Brewers' 10th, tying a major league record. Back to Tom and Jim.
All right, John, thank you. The Brewers, their relentless pursuit of that wild card spot continues in the American League. Jim Messier is on to pitch for the Mariners, making his major league debut. He's facing Paul O'Neill with a runner on third.
At Tacoma, he was 1-4 with a 3.10. Not what you consider a strikeout pitcher.
And the Mariners using bullpen by committee. The one thing that Lou Piniella did not want to have happen today was have Torres knocked out early and have to use a parade of pitchers because he doesn't have that many available bodies that haven't been overworked. O'Neill, he'll knock the run in with a ground out to Fermin. Bernie Williams trots across. It's now 9-2.
Well, Messier was born in Queens, so he may have a few friends in the stands tonight. And you know, one thing you don't want to do, Tom, is get embarrassed when you have a lot of friends in the stands. And you know he's a little nervous and his mind is racing somewhat, but try to get him in a situation. You're in a sense in a situation for a youngster where there's not a real load on you. You don't have to do an awful lot here. Just try to get somebody out.
Well, you come in, you're down by 6 runs already, and you're right, just stay afloat. Chance for you to work on your stuff, get your feet wet, get acclimated to the major leagues. Of course, should the Mariners make it the postseason, Messier and all the other call-ups would not be eligible anyway. There's the Ayala numbers: 1+, 39 pitches, 3 hits, 3 runs all earned, 2 walks and a strikeout.
And that'll be of more concern for Lou Piniella when you have a guy like Ayala go out there and struggle and continue to struggle. And you're going down to the race as it is, trying to get into the wild card. You need to get that fellow back in the right direction.
Ruben Sierra, who scored 2 runs, singled in the first and scored, walked in the second and scored, and now has a 2-2 count. Full count as the pitch is outside. It's not a bad idea on a day like today. Take the old shirt off, of course, sit out far enough away where you don't have to hear any catcalls. Get a little suntan. There's a drive to deep center field. Ken Griffey Jr. is parked under this one, makes the one-handed grab. Second out for the Yankees. Sierra just got under that a bit and still sent it almost to the warning track in deep right center. Bring up Deion James, the left fielder. 1 out of 2 on the day. Popped out to short in the first, doubled in the second. Big hole in left center field for Deion James if he gets something to go the other way. And there he goes out to left field, single. That'll give Don Mattingly a chance. James doing some first pitch hitting.
You get in a ball game like this, big lead for the hitters anyway. You go up there, you are so relaxed now. You you don't really try to think too much, and that's usually the best approach anyway, but it's just so much easier for you to go up and swing the bat in this situation.
Manually 1 out of 2, as you see there, with a single. Also had a strikeout in the second. This one in the dirt for ball 1. Nine to 2 Yankees. We're only in the bottom of the third. Finally hitting out of the number 6 hole in this Yankee lineup. Slower than many of us have seen him over the years. As we chronicled before, his productivity has gone down for whatever reason. Hard 2 hopper to first. Nice play there to gobble it up by Tino Martinez, and the Yankees are done. 2 more runs, 3 more hits, no errors, and 1 left after 3. 9 to 2 New York. If you take a tour of Monument Park here at Yankee Stadium, you'll see the plaque dedicated to Lou Gehrig, of course, a man, a gentleman, a great ball player whose amazing record of 2,130 games should stand forever. And I think the engraver thought it would stand forever. But Wednesday night on ESPN at Camden Yards in Baltimore, that man, Cal Ripken Jr., will break Lou Gehrig's record, and you will see it at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. What a night that's going to be, Jim.
Oh, I would love to be there.
I think everybody would. Leading off for the Mariners, Jay Buhner, and Buhner, nice play there by the catcher, Jim Leyritz. Buhner's kicking Leyritz's helmet around. He couldn't believe it. 1 gone. Let's check in with John Saunders.
Well, Tom, you mentioned Cal Ripken Jr. will break the record on Wednesday. Today it's just 2,129 consecutive games. And Cal with home run number 13 on the year, adding to his already record of home runs by a shortstop. 2-1, the Orioles have the lead. Tom and Jim.
All right, John, thanks a lot. You know, the one thing that's forgotten over the years in the street business with Cal Ripken is Flowers hits the first pitch into shallow right, and this should be the second out. It is. One thing that's forgotten is just what a quality ball player Cal Ripken has been throughout just about all his career.
Well, he's remained productive, and I want to say, Tom, it was 3 or 4 years ago, there was a writer in Baltimore, and Cal was having an off year. Forget about the streak, but think about the fact of all the years, a player is going to have an off year every once in a while. And this fellow was all over Ripken because he wasn't having a banner type year and thought he should retire. I couldn't believe it. And, you know, you're talking about a future Hall of Famer, and as you just touched on it, the fact that he has remained productive.
Greg Perkle pinch hitting for Tino Martinez. Greg Perkle activated from the DL on September 1st, and this is a pop-up in the infield and a quick 1-2-3 inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. We go to the bottom of the 4th in New York. Yankees leading. Well, it was May 31st. Yankees at the Mariners. Randy Johnson to Jim Leyritz, and uh-oh, that one got away. And Leyritz was down for some time. Fortunately, he was okay. That was a 3-0 pitch. Johnson, again, you see on the slow motion, hit the hand, came up, hit the side of the face. Leyritz went down. Of course, he was awarded first base, and when he got there, he had a few words of wisdom for Randy Johnson.
Well, he wanted to challenge Randy Johnson. Of course, it didn't happen.
Now he'll challenge Jim Messere. Unfortunately, cooler heads prevailed, but you wonder what's going to happen the next time Johnson and Leyritz get together.
Well, it has developed some bad blood between these clubs. That's rather obvious. Think about it, when you're a left-handed pitcher, and Randy Johnson obviously in the past has had the reputation of being wild, not so much throwing and hitting people, throwing at people and hitting them, but it is not easy for a left-handed pitcher to hit a right-handed batter unless he does it on purpose.
Leyritz grounds to short for the first out of the inning. Let's check it again with John Saunders.
Well, Tom, the Rockies and the Cubs in the first inning. Brian Ricard facing Sammy Sosa, who's been as hot as anyone lately. This is his 33rd home run of the year, and it's deep. The 2-run shot. And can see Ricard a little bit shocked by the power there. 2-0 is the lead. Tom and Jim.
All right, John, thanks. There's Randy Johnson, who's taking a little rest with his shoulder and elbow problems, slight problems, nothing serious, they hope. Johnson pitched against the Yankees the next time, and Larritz wasn't in the lineup. And somebody asked Larritz if he was intimidated, and he said no. And so they went to Johnson, and they asked him what the story is. He says, I'm the intimidator, and he's the intimidatee.
Kind of hard to intimidate a pitcher that throws 100 miles an hour. And I don't want anybody to misunderstand me when I say it's not easy to hit a right-hander if you're a left-handed pitcher. You almost have to try and do that. But Randy Johnson, and there are times when pitchers will get a ball, they're frustrated, and they'll let it go, and they don't care where it goes. So I don't want to mislead anybody. Only the guy, in most cases, only the guy out there knows whether he's doing it intentionally or not.
Swing and a miss, and Fernandez is struck out by Messire. Looked like a pretty good fastball there, and Tony Fernandez will take a seat. Randy Velarde has yet to get a hit in this ball game for the Yankees. At first base, Greg Perkle, who pinch hit for Tino Martinez in the top of the 4th inning, has moved in to play first base.
Well, he looks a little bit like Jay Buhner. If he can hit like him, they'll have something.
And Alex Rodriguez is your new shortstop for Seattle. And Warren Newson also a lineup change for Lou Piniella. So his team is 7 runs down, and while you don't want to give up, Piniella figuring a good opportunity to get some work for some other players. Here's Velarde to left field. Diaz. Oh, it's off his glove. Had his shades down. Don't know if he was blinded or not. And Velarde gets a gift as he pulls into second base. It's not a good way to become an everyday ball player.
If Diaz would have started the game, you might think a little bit about your defense getting soft because they've been out there for so long. But in this case, even with the glasses down, and he is looking back in the sun, Diaz, rather than look the ball right into his glove, as you see as he's trying to catch it, he's still looking in the direction from which the ball came, rather than just follow it into the glove. And you know, when you catch so many balls in the outfield, you assume an awful lot, Tom, and in this case, a wrong assumption.
So since the Yankees need any help, it's a 2-base error on Alex Diaz. Velarde gets second with 2 out, and here's Wade Boggs at bat for his 4th time here in the 4th inning. Single to center field. This should be enough to make it a 10-2 game, and it's dropped by Griffey. So Wade Boggs with his 3rd hit of the afternoon. He had 3 hits yesterday, and he has done that trick now for the 197th time in his career, a 3-hit day.
Well, that ball was hit so sharply, Griffey thought he had a chance. Again, no error here, and I just think that's real good hustle by Griffey. Even though they're down by so much, Tom, he's going to take a shot anyway and try to throw the runner out at the plate. So to me, that shows what kind of a player you have out there. He still hasn't given up. Not that anybody else out there has given up, but Boggs hit that ball so well, there was a legitimate shot. He just got a little bit of a bad bounce. It didn't come up the way he was expecting it to.
There's Bernie Williams at bat for the 4th time here in the 4th inning. 10 runs, 12 hits for the Yankees so far. The Mariners 2, 4, and 2. And there's Williams' line on the day.
The reason that I bring that up about Griffey is that you'll get a lot of players in a game like this that'll go through the motions. But you see on a play like that, he was still trying to make something out of the play.
Come, Jim. Outside, 2-0 the count to Bernie Williams. Ken Griffey Jr., if the Mariners can hang in this race and he can get his batting stroke back, they do have a favorable schedule at home once they get off this long Eastern road swing. Williams fouls it back. Should the Mariners win the race for the wild card, it would do a lot of things. You get to see Ken Griffey in the postseason. It maybe would save the franchise for the city and give everybody a new look in the postseason.
Well, he's been such a great player that the recognition for Griffey has been there. But if you can imagine, and there's always been a feeling in baseball, when you get to the postseason, Tom, you do turn it up a notch. There's that extra level of concentration. So if you can just imagine him getting better than he already is.
Good fastball there. by Jim Messier, making his major league debut at Yankee Stadium. Just called up from Tacoma. Solomon Torres started this game for Seattle, was totally ineffective. Bobby Ayala not much better. Messier goes full to Bernie Williams. Boggs the runner on first with 2 out in the full count. Boggs is off with a pitch. Williams fouls it down to the first base coaching box.
You mentioned the woes of the Seattle pitching staff. The next 2 games here in New York, Seattle is going to use Bob Wolcott tomorrow and then Tim Belcher on Wednesday. Now Thursday it was a scheduled off day for Seattle, but they're going to play a 1-game mini-series in Cleveland. So this trip could not end up very well. Lou Piniella needs to try and turn things around tomorrow and Wednesday if it's possible. Still looking to go 7-3 on the trip.
Again, Boggs off with a pitch with 2 gone. Ground ball to second. That does it for the Yankees. 10-2 New York. Back in a moment. 5th inning baseball from Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. I'm Tom Mees along with Jim Rooker, and don't adjust your sets. That is the score, 10-2 in favor of the Yankees, who at one time trailed in this game 2-0. Andy Pettit is sailing along, and Chris Widger, the catcher, leads it off for Seattle. As you take a look at the scores, which will come your way, by the way, at 10 after, 30 after, and 50 after the hour on ESPN. Pop out to Fernandez, 1 gone. Scores are us. Felix Fermin steps up. You notice with a big deficit, the Seattle batters are swinging a lot of first pitches here.
Yes, and when you have a manager like Lou Piniella, who was obviously a pretty good hitter in his time, that kind of rubs the wrong way. Make the guy work out there a little bit, and you're really doing him a favor by going after the first pitch. Now, part of that thinking, Tom, as well, is that, well, you want your hitters to be aggressive, but you get to that point and you say, well, you can still hit with 2 swings left.
Felix Fermin, the batter. Count is even at 1-1. Let's take a look at Andy Pettit, meanwhile, who has this big 8-run lead to deal with. His numbers through the first 4 innings of play.
Pretty good numbers there, especially that 4th inning, 4 pitches.
That'll save wear and tear on the arm, won't it?
Yes, it will. You go through the first 2 innings, and we've seen the Yankees batted around in the 1st and the 2nd inning, or sent 9 men to the plate. And there are times when a pitcher, especially when he gets on a little bit of a roll, rocky 1st inning for Pettit, but once you get kind of in the groove and your hitters go to the plate, go to more runs, more, you honestly do get to the point and say, okay, guys, that's enough. You want to get back out there, so you get into that kind of a feel thing where you don't want to get out of tempo.
Here's the 2-2 pitch. Fermin just pops this one up. And Fernandez has that one, 2 gone. Well, Pettit pitched a complete game victory last Wednesday night at the stadium against the California Angels, but he's been up and down. He's 7-8 coming in. David Cohn and Jack McDowell have been the 2 that Buck Showalter's had to rely on.
Well, you get a big lead like this, too, and you're thinking, I'm only ahead 2 runs. It's the concentration thing that you're talking about. You try not to relax too much out there.
Diaz, a 1-hopper. Nice scoop by Mattingly. He hasn't lost a thing there with the glove, let me tell you that. 1-2-3 inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left. We go to the bottom of the 5th. 10-2 Yankees. And a reminder tonight to join Mike Tirico, Joe Theismann, Sterling Sharp at 7:30 Eastern, the regular season debut of NFL Prime Monday. Full recap of Sunday's action as Paul O'Neill leads off for the Yankees here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Prime Monday coming your way at 7:30 tonight. Full recap from yesterday's Week 1 in the NFL, a preview of tonight's Cowboys-Giants game, and a behind-the-scenes visit with Troy Aikman of the Dallas Cowboys. Tonight at 7:30. O'Neill fooled on an off-speed pitch. 0-2. Jim Messier has not been doing all that badly since coming in. You see O'Neill's numbers on the day. 2 runs scored. A couple of hits. Strike 3 called. O'Neill doesn't like it. Has a few words to say, but calmly goes back to the dugout.
Yeah, he said, what the heck, I'm 2 for 3 anyway, now 2 for 4, what's one at bat? Well, a nice job. You mentioned Messier, and there's a good running fastball. You start it just off the plate, and it does come back. Actually, he sets up that pitch by the previous pitch. You saw O'Neill chase one, go after a pitch down and away, and you get a hitter looking away, and then pow, you just run it inside and catch him completely off guard.
Way outside, ball 1 to Ruben Sierra. Sierra coming over in the Danny Tartabull deal earlier in the season. A single, a walk, 2 runs scored. 1 out of 2 on the day. Since coming over in that deal for Danny Tartabull, Ruben Sierra, average not all that high, 29 runs batted in. He is hit in fits and starts. He'll come out one night, I think right after the trade, hit a grand slam home run and go into a funk for a while.
It's kind of hard to figure, too, because you know when you come to New York, and Sierra's been around long enough to know what to expect here. And if you have any kind of an attitude problem, and that does seem to be the knock on him, you're going to have a rougher time here than any other place.
Count evens at 2. When the weather warmed up in August, and it was a very hot August in New York, so did Sierra. 28 RBIs in the month of August, most since a fellow named Winfield back in 1988, April of that season. Sierra lofting one into short center field. This is going to drop in for a single and maybe more. No, coming over to cover is the third baseman, Blowers, so Sierra is held to a single. That was perfectly placed.
Well, those big, strong fellas can muscle the ball at times. You see the plate coverage. You go back to the first inning, the way he could reach out and hit the ball after the end of the bat. And again, you get those guys that they just like to extend the arms to drive the ball. In this case, just had enough bat to get a piece of that one.
Deion James, 2 out of 3, double and a single. Looks at a called strike 1. James starting in left field for just the 3rd time this season. You see all the black underneath his eyes. That left field is a tough sun field here in Yankee Stadium. Alex Diaz of Seattle can already attest to that. 2 balls and 1 strike. Here's Diaz, last inning, and a ball tipped off the top of his glove, a 2-base error to Randy Velarde, and Velarde came home to score. Chopper to second. Force for 1, should be an easy double play, and it is. So no runs, 1 hit, no errors, and nobody left. We played 5 full here in the Bronx. Yankees continue to lead at 10-2. Andy Pettit taking his warm-up tosses for the top of the 6th inning. Yankees well in control of this game as far as who's in control of the American League wild card standings. Let's take a look at it right now. Seattle coming into play, and Kansas City in a practical tie. However, Kansas City percentage points ahead. Texas a game back. Yankees 2 back. Milwaukee 2 back. Both of those teams winning today. Oakland 3 back, and they want some wild cards dealt here at the stadium. Who would ever thought we'd ever see the day in baseball where you'd be rooting for a wild card? It's hard to get used to. Strike 1 to the Seattle Mariners' Luis Sojo.
Well, the hook has been set finally in baseball, catching up with the rest of the sports industry. I wish, well, among other things, you wonder when, if ever, there will be a commissioner again.
Alex Rodriguez is at bat. 0-2. Rodriguez. Yeah, it's been what, 3 years since Fay Vincent handed in his resignation. How many major corporations would go that long without a CEO?
Zip.
1-2, the count to Rodriguez. 1-3. Rodriguez is down, 1 down. Well, Ken Griffey Jr. is striding to the plate. Most of this season, he has been rehabbing his wrist. Remember May 26th, Randy Johnson delivers. And there's a long fly ball to right center field. And Griffey, who never gives up on anything, went to the wall, made the catch, but boy, did they pay.
Oh, yes. And you know what? Since he came back, Tom, he doesn't know how to play any other way. But as you see him going for the ball here, just total disregard for the fence. Makes a tremendous catch. How did he hold on to the ball? That's what's amazing, as well as making the catch.
0-1 the count to Griffey, who's 0-2 on the day. Popped up the second, flew out weakly to left field. Rodriguez, the preceding batter, another one of those Mariner call-ups. So several substitutions in the Mariner lineup for Lou Piniella. Pettit cruising along. As I said, he's got 3 complete games this year, all in the stadium. 5-1. Yankee Stadium this season. Ken Griffey lines one to right field for a single. That's the best swing that Griffey has taken today.
Well, this is just a picture-perfect swing. The stiff front leg, that's the thing about hitters. As long as they can keep their balance and hit off a stiff front leg. There are others that don't do it as well, or you'll see at times that some hitters are a little bit not in that same kind of technique, but the majority of the better hitters will hit off a front stiff leg.
Here's Edgar Martinez, who way back in the first inning put Seattle up 2-0 in this ball game with a home run to left. His only other at-bat, he struck out swinging.
And it appears that Pettit has changed his style a little bit. Tried to use the curveball earlier, but since the home run, he's been pitching more off the fastball.
Blew that one by Martinez. 0-2.
Every hitter will have a book on a pitcher, and you think about Pettit, equate automatically that, well, he has a pretty good curveball. You look for it and look for it, and it makes his fastball a little bit better, a little quicker.
Martinez got a hack at that one, fouled it back in the first inning, hit one right down the line to left.
Not a real sharp breaking curveball. Now the second time up, a little bit different story. You see Pettit go to the whip and go right after him with the fastball, and he's doing more of that in this inning as well.
Went inside on that pitch. 1-2. And that is a stat that is rather daunting. The last time a right-handed hitter hit 360 plus, Joe DiMaggio, back in 1939 in this very stadium before the renovation. Fernandez has been busy of late. Takes that pop up, 2 gone.
What a nice job of location on Martinez. He'd been riding that fastball, and a couple of them out over the plate. It's not too often that you can challenge an Edgar Martinez like that and get away with it, but to his credit, Pettit does that and then comes right back and ties Martinez up with a pitch in on the hands.
That'll bring up Warren Newson. First time he's batted in this ball game. He replaced Jay Buhner in right field.
With that line you saw there, no walks.
Boy, if you can eliminate that stat from your repertoire as a pitcher, that would be something else. It means you're not giving them anything. They have to earn everything. The Yankees have earned an awful lot. They've only gotten a couple of walks today and scored 10 runs. Newson fouls it off, evens the count at 1-1. Yankee Stadium in New York, Buck Showalter. Maybe one of the few times all season he can sit back and relax if he ever does that. And the famous panoramic view with the facade in the outfield, and a swing and a miss by Newson. 1-2. Remember, coming up later on, Astros and Reds from the Astrodome, and still later after that, 9 o'clock tonight, Phillies and Dodgers from Dodger Stadium. 1-2 to Newsom. Wouldn't go after it.
By the way, I do want to clear up something I said earlier. I said Pettit didn't have a good move to first base, and as we saw earlier, he has picked off 9, and I'm going to smack Bobby Mercer because he's the one that set me up with that.
Disinformation, Jim. You got to watch out for it.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to clean it up. I made the mistake.
There he is. There's the guy, the double agent.
I'll get him.
Doing a local telecast in New York, Bobby Mercer. Full count, 2 outs. Griffey will be going. Newsom will too. He'll take a walk to first base. Let's check in now with John Saunders.
Brewers and the Twins, and that is Kirby Puckett at the plate in the 3rd inning, facing Scott Carl. Jaha had a grand slam that gave the Brewers a big lead, but Kirby Puckett right here with a solo shot has tied it at 4 apiece. That's where it stands in the 4th. Tom and Jim.
All right, John, big game there for the Milwaukee Brewers. Twins are out of the race, but they've put up a string of wins of late.
And nobody likes the tag put on them. Spoilers, but it's all part of it.
Well, you've seen the best and the worst. You've tasted world championships, and you've been on teams that have been spoilers in September.
Oh, sure.
1-0 the count to Blowers. There is some sort of demonistic pleasure you get when you're way out of the race zone. You go into your arch rival's ballpark and they're in it, and you take 3 out of 4. It's like so there.
And there are times when you have those teams, as you mentioned, that you're more relaxed. You have nothing to lose. Not much is expected of you.
Mariners down 10-2. Couple of runners on. Need a big hit to try and crawl back into this game in the top of the 6th. Blowers is a guy that's got some power. 19 home runs, 85 RBIs on the season. One ball and 1 strike. Showalter hoping that Pettit can carry the Yankees well past the 6th inning. Keep relying on that bullpen. And it has not delivered for the Yankees in a lot of cases this year. I love it. The ball boy, he's doing his job. He goes out, catches a foul ball, and he's got everybody in the high price seats begging him to throw it in the seats. One and 2 the count to Blowers. 2 out, 2 runners on for Seattle. And that will end that. Swing and a miss. No runs. 1 hit. 2 left. Going to the bottom of the 6th. 10-2 Yankees. Getting ready for the bottom of the 6th inning here at Yankee Stadium, New York. The Yankees in control. Tom Mees along with Jim Rooker. And Jim, we said at our open today that the Yankees needed to get a solid outing from Andy Pettit. Needed to control the bats of the Mariners. And they've done that.
Well, to his credit, and there's always that feeling that the pitcher sets the tempo of the ball game, and it does make it somewhat easier for that bullpen. They need a little bit of a rest down there, and this kid's giving it to them. You have to remember, this is a rookie that's going out there for the Yankees and doing a fine job after getting off to a rocky start.
And Pettit, no wonder he's smiling with a 10-2 lead going to the bottom of the 6th inning. New center fielder Ken Griffey Jr. will sit. Rich Amaral will replace him. Feel a bit like a spring training game. All the moves that Lou Pinella's making from his starting lineup today. But I can assure you it's far from that with Seattle right in the thick with the Yankees in the wild card race. Don Mattingly leads it off for the Yanks. Takes it called strike 1. One out of 3 on the day for Mattingly. Rips a line drive foul, and almost a great catch by a fan in the front row. Well, how many years has it been anyway? Remember when Don Mattingly was a rookie? Remember? He could hardly grow that mustache back then. All time, Mattingly's ranks, average, home runs, RBIs, hits, doubles, all in the top 8 or above.
Quite a record, quite a career.
Mattingly launches one towards right center field. Newsom thinks he's got it, and he does. One gone. Let's quickly check in again with John Saunders.
Angels and the Orioles, and Tony Phillips has had quite a year. That is Chili Davis knocking this one out. His 18th home run of the year. That's a 3-run shot. The Angels have won 9 straight. There's a look at Tony Phillips now with his 22nd home run of the year. All of this in the 5th inning. And the Angels have a 5-3 lead. Back to you.
All right, John, the Angels need that one bad. Their lead in their own division has fallen to 5.5 games over the Seattle Mariners. And a reminder, we'll be at Camden Yards Wednesday night. That's the night that Cal Ripken Jr. should break Lou Gehrig's record. And, of course, Lou Gehrig, monument out in center field, 2,130 consecutive games. Who would have thought back then or any time that anybody would break that record? Passed away at 38 years of age. Swing and a miss, 1 ball and 2 strikes to the catcher, Jim Leyritz. Quiet crowd enjoying this beautiful sunny day at Yankee Stadium. Really nothing to get too excited about as far as they're going to win or lose the game. Yankees in control 10-2. So they're just sitting back, relaxing, enjoying the sunshine. Ordering some beverages maybe. One hopper to third. And 2 gone.
Tom, as you mentioned, Lou Gehrig passing away at such an early age. On a personal note, of baseball, the baseball industry has lost another former owner, Dan Galbraith, who was such a wonderful man who embraced the game of baseball and treated it as a sport. He didn't have a baseball club in Pittsburgh as a toy. This man loved the game, and he was a wonderful owner and did an awful lot for the city of Pittsburgh. In my opinion, did not get the recognition he deserved for everything he did. He could have bailed out many times, but actually selling the club, keeping the team in Pittsburgh. Passed away yesterday, and our thoughts are certainly with his family.
Oh, there's Alex Diaz, and another adventure for him in left field. And Tony Fernandez wheels into second. He's going to third, and he'll make it standing up. Well, that's a tough sun field. Alex Diaz can attest to that.
Well, they give a 3-base hit all the way. If you are a major league outfielder, you should be able to make this play. You see how late he gets his glove up. If he gets it up right away, Tom, he's going to be able to see the ball and pick it up. Tough time, granted, but a play that should be made. No error charged.
Well, they say there are areas of omission and areas of commission, and that won't show up as an error in the box. But you're right, that should have been caught. And Alex Diaz, feel for him. He's coming in here. Just recalled from Tacoma August 31st. Trying to, get his feet wet in the major leagues, and frankly, it's been an embarrassing day for him as a fielder out there in left.
Well, every ballpark has its tough sun fields, but again, if you've been in the big leagues, and he was up with the team earlier this year, so you earn your bones, so to speak, in the minor leagues. You learn the techniques of playing the outfield, and he's wearing sunglasses, #1. Again, I mean, it's a play that should be made, and I don't know, through the years, I think, to save arguments, it does, in a sense, bail out the official score, because most of the time, I would guess they would give an error on that one, and sometimes you can't battle the elements. He's still shaking his head, but play not made. And it won't be the last time you'll lose one in the sun or have a problem with it.
3 balls and 1 strike to count. Miranda Velarde, well, those errors, the worst part for Diaz is he's making them in front of his own bullpen out there. Yeah, and that some of those guys are standing up and giving him the razz. Messier walks Velarde with 2 gone. So the Yankees with 2 on. Runners at the corners, and Wade Boggs strolling up to the plate. Messier did not need this. the first walk for Messire since he's come on, but that should be his last pitch as Lou Piniella is calmly strolling out to the mound. Lou's gotten in more exercise than he wanted to do today. Pitching change coming up. We'll have it for you when we return. Yankees lead it 10-2. Welcome back to Yankee Stadium in New York. I'm Tom Mees along with Jim Rooker. The Yankees have scored early and often. They lead this one 10-2, and another youngster making his major league debut for Seattle. The name is Scott Davison.
There are his numbers in 95 at Port City and Tacoma. Relieved earlier in the year, most of his time at Port City. 2 starts at Tacoma.
Well, Davison comes in for his major league debut, and he has full confidence in his outfield, especially in left, where Alex Diaz is shagging him down with great acumen today.
Well, play number 1. Whoops, I had it, but I didn't. And this time, shying away. You know, both of those plays, it is a little bit embarrassing for any fielder to go through that. You feel like you'd like to hide under a rock, but there is no place to hide out there.
So Scott Davison comes in with a fastball to Wade Boggs, the first man he faces in his major league career, with runners at the corners. Fastball for strike 2.
Pretty good arm. Davison shows a live arm. Good fastball. Signed originally as a shortstop with the Expos.
Got an ERA of under 1 run a game in Double-A. Ballooned to over 5 runs a game in Triple-A earlier in the season at Tacoma. Boggs up the middle, but this one will be taken by the shortstop, and that'll do that. That'll end the inning for the New York Yankees. Runners at the corners are stranded. We go to the 7th. 10-2 Yankees. 7th inning baseball from the big ballpark in the Bronx. Tom Mees and Jim Rooker with you. The Yankees leading by a bunch, 10-2 as we go to the top of the 7th. The Yankees hopeful, of course, of getting into postseason via the wild card route this year. The Red Sox long ago wrapped up the American League East. It's been a while since the Yankees have been in the postseason. How long, you say? Well, remember 1981, it was a very good year. That was the split season, wasn't it, Jim? That's the last time the Yankees were in postseason. Perkle leads off for Seattle against Pettit. This will drop in front of the center fielder, Bernie Williams, for a leadoff single. So Perkle gives Seattle what they need plenty of, and that's a base runner here in the 7th inning. Chris Widger, the catcher, will try to move him along. Again, these are droughts. The Mariners and Rangers have never been in postseason play. The Indians are going to make it. First time since I was a little kid. You see the Yankees, Expos, and Brewers. It's been a while.
Well, so many times. And the Yankees might be the #1 club you'd point at. They've tried to buy a pennant year after year, and it just hasn't worked out. And you look at some clubs, Tom, that have done it through their minor league system. When you have problems, it's funny how you can really just go back to basics and do things the way they're supposed to. That's the way the Pirates rebuilt their team in the early 90s. They cultivated and brought actually enhanced their farm system.
Widger swings a one, ends up in the dirt. 0-2 the count.
Well, a pat on the back for Pettit. It's a cliche, but for so many years it's been said good hitting stops, or good pitching stops good hitting, and that has been the case today. He's pitched a fine ball game so far.
Well, how long has it been since the Yankees won again? Not to beat a dead horse or anything, but it's been 81. Remember that year the 49ers won a Super Bowl? They've won a few since then. The Celtics are NBA champions. And Clemson, did I see that? Clemson won the NCAA football championship, the national title. Danny Ford was the coach, and they weren't on probation either. And Isaiah Thomas led the Indiana Hoosiers. I think that was their undefeated season. So it's been a while. 0-2, Widger. Fouls it up to the upper deck, and the chase is on. It comes down to the more expensive seats.
Part of Buck Showalter's job this year, and it was not going to be an easy one, especially when you're picked to win. The Yankees were sitting pretty last year, and his message to his team was, hey guys, we didn't get the job finished. Of course, with the season being called off, they didn't have a chance, but he wanted to pick things up from where they left off last season. Didn't work out that way. And being #1, when you're one of the better ball clubs, everybody takes shots at you.
Widger fouls another one off. Well, Steinbrenner made no bones about it. He said during the recent slump, we need to make the playoffs. Nothing else is acceptable. I want my team in the playoffs this year. And of course, he has been far more patient with Showalter and all of his coaches than he had been with his managers in the past. There's a look at Jack McDowell. Widger ground ball to second. They'll get the force there, and that'll be it. Let's check in now with John Saunders.
The Angels and the Orioles, and there's a look at the right field building in Camden Yards, all the offices, but more importantly, the number changes. The game is now official, 2,129. Ripken will tie Lou Gehrig's record tomorrow. He'll break it Wednesday night here on ESPN. Tom and Jim.
All right, John, thank you. And a reminder to join Bob Lee tomorrow night at 7:30 Eastern Time for a special edition of Outside the Lines, live from Camden Yards in Baltimore. A rip of games will focus on Cal Ripken and his pursuit of Lou Gehrig's consecutive games record. That's tomorrow night, Outside the Lines special, live from Camden Yards in Baltimore. Bob Lee, your host for that excellent program at 7:30 Eastern Time. Fermin for the second base hole, and Velarde's only play is to go to first. He jumped up in the air, saw at second he had no play, and had the presence of mind to regain his composure and get Fermin at first.
Maybe somewhat butchering the English language, but is that some kind of athletic ability or what? You know, you have to use a little imagination, Tom, in developing some plays. You think ahead and try to figure out how to make a play. It was there, then all of a sudden it wasn't, so you have to kind of rethink and readjust. There are some players that wouldn't have that ability to do so.
Here's Alex Diaz. Boy, you know, he'd like to atone for a couple of mistakes. Instead, hits the first pitch to Tony Fernandez, and that's that. No runs and a hit. No errors. We'll go to the bottom of the 7th in a moment. There's a guy who had his barbecue before he came to the ballpark. That guy right there. He's got his, he had a few drinks too. See, he's got the pennant upside down. Maybe he's getting in his exercise.
Well, he's the Yankees spring training conditioning coach. You take 2 laps around him and in, because it's going to take a while to get around him.
Oh, we are so rude up here. We really are.
Well, he's having fun. That's the important thing.
And coming up, after we're through here in New York, we'll go to the Astrodome in Houston. Reds and Astros. It's a crucial game for the Houston Astros. They enter today's action 1/2 game out of the wild card spot. They're involved in a race with the Dodgers and the Phillies. A few other folks. Colorado Rockies. Should Colorado fade a little bit? It's got people talking. I'll say that about the wild card. Bernie Williams fouls it off. 1-1. Now, there you go. That guy, no, I won't say it. He's got a Duke Blue Devils jersey on. I wonder if somebody's going to wake him up when the game is over.
Well, a well-placed foul ball could do that.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Bernie Williams. Williams, O'Neill, and Sierra here in the 7th inning for New York. Outside 2-2. Phoning home, and there's a brave gentleman wearing a Jets hat after yesterday, and that guy has got a lot of guts. Count goes full. And the headline in the New York Post today was blowout, or no, it was just a joke. Yeah, J-O-K-E, one word. Williams with a little flare to center. Rich Amaral replaced Ken Griffey out there, brings it down, 1 gone.
Now, let me tell you something. Dan Marino can make a lot of teams look like a joke.
Amaral came in last inning as a replacement for Griffey. Things out of hand here at 10-2. Paul O'Neill steps in, was called out on strikes his last time up. But on the whole has had another productive day.
Carl Taylor, former big league player, is the Yankee video person. And he spends so much time with these fellas. Paul O'Neill, perhaps one of the #1 students, video 101, if you will. He spends hours looking at the videos. He had gone through some periods of not playing, injuries and that sort of thing. He doesn't just waste his time. He'll go in there and look and study pitchers, study his swing, and over and over and over again they have that subliminal type of taping where you see nothing but good swings, Tom. And you know that to me there's teaching in part of that, because if you look so often at things that you do wrong, every once in a while that's going to materialize again in your mind. But to watch time and time again off different pitching, nothing but good swings, then that conditions your mind to think about when you go up to plate. You might be having a problem with a particular pitcher, but you might also get a little bit better head start by thinking of the positive approach to it.
That time O'Neill didn't have to take many swings as Davison walked him on 5 pitches. And Ruben Sierra steps up with 1 out and a runner on first. And O'Neill is not being held on in a 10-2 game. Sierra on the day, a walk, 2 hits, 2 runs scored. Fouls one right back up this way. Almost got a television camera. Careful, boys. It's expensive.
Well, the designated hitter in the American League helps out a guy like Sierra. When he came over here, and there have been at times when he's been in right field, you can't sit Paul O'Neill down. And Paul O'Neill is not your DH kind of a player. He needs to play.
Possible double play here. Sierra hustles out the play and beats it at first base. Beat the relay throw of the shortstop Alex Rodriguez.
Well, there's to me, Tom, a good example of a guy really hustling when he needs to. You have a big lead, and there have been times when Sierra might just take for granted, well, it's a double play, I won't really go all out. In this case, he does, so you do appreciate that. But you talk about a guy like Paul O'Neill. He is one of the better throwing right fielders in the game. And at times they put him in left field or sat him down and let Sierra play. When you have Ruben Sierra in the outfield, your defense really suffers.
Well, that was a problem. You know, O'Neill, when they picked up Sierra, then they bring in Darryl Strawberry. Those guys got to play sometime. And unless they're going to DH all the time, then O'Neill's going to have to sit or he's going to have to move over to left. If you put him in left with an arm like he's got, I think you're really wasting him out there.
Exactly.
And that was the point that a lot of writers and broadcasters made. Why make that deal? You know, that O'Neill should stay there and right. And why bring Strawberry up? And why acquire a Sierra? But why not get more pitching, God forbid?
Well, that's exactly what Luis Polonia said. He is now sitting on the bench in Atlanta because of the comment. Well, he said the true story. I mean, he brought out exactly what everybody else wanted to say, but Polonia said it, and you knew his days were numbered here in New York.
You know what? He's sitting on the bench of a team that's going to the playoffs.
Exactly, yes. He upgraded himself. He went from coach to first class.
3-1 the count to Deion James. Couple of hits today. 2 for 4 on the afternoon. Sierra at first, 2 gone here in the 7th. Davison and James lines it to center. This will drop in for a base hit. And trying to make the turn to third is Sierra, and there will be no throw. Ruben Sierra never broke stride. So the Yankees have put up runners at the corners with 2 out. And here comes Don Mattingly.
It's another one of those balls, when it hits the turf, it pops up a little bit. In fact, Amaral had to back off just a little. He wasn't quite sure what the ball was going to do, but you watch when it hits, and he'll have to reach back again. Earlier in the game, Griffey overran a ball when it popped up like that.
Deion James came in today hitting .316. That average will not fall. He has gotten 3 hits on the day. 3 out of 5, and Mattingly looks at strike 1.
Yeah, think about it. Bernie Williams, Paul O'Neill, Ruben Sierra, Darryl Strawberry, and oh yes, Deion James. He's really been lost, and he has a very productive day, as mentioned.
strike 2. Manning never really says much to the umpire. See the Yankees batting .500 with runners in scoring position today. This one can't get over the pitcher, though. Davison makes a nice play and bails himself out. No runs, 1 hit. Couple men left on base. We go to the 8th. 10-2 New York. Welcome back to Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. Andy Pettitte and the Yankees cruising into the top of the 8th inning with a 10-2 lead. And what is that contract? Well, he's got a radio. And I get it. He doesn't have too many hair follicles left. He doesn't want to get a sunburn. Now there is the Pharaoh. And
there's Rashid.
There's no, the Giants cut him last week. Kenyon Rashid. He's out. He's out of here. Oh, it's one of those days, friends. 10-2 in the 8th inning. Looking forward to Houston, the Reds at 4 o'clock. And Alex Rodriguez lines one down to Boggs, who backhands it just as easy as can be and gets the throw across to Mattingly. 1 gone. Well, Edgar Martinez, he has accounted for the Seattle runs today with a 2-run homer back in the first, and his percentages and his statistics are amazing, and he will be coming up in a moment as Rich Amaral steps to the plate. Or will he? No. Edgar Martinez will not be coming up. They're going to pinch hit for him. And a called strike to Rich Amaral. Amaral at bat for the first time in this game. Griffey went 1 out of 3 on the day. Little looper into left field. Deion James or Bernie Williams. It'll be Williams. 2 gone. Doug Strange will bat for the aforementioned Edgar Martinez. Strange 8 for his last 24.
In most cases, when you play defense, your manager will let you go ahead and take that last at bat. Maybe in this case, Lou asked Martinez. Or he might have just said, you've done enough today. Go ahead and take the rest.
Strange comes in hitting at .268, switch hitter. 1 home run, 19 RBIs. Count is 1-1 to him. Off speed, way high and outside. Andy Pettitte, if he indeed does go the route today, it'll be the 2nd time in a row, and that young man can't wait to watch this Wednesday night when Ripken breaks the streak. But Pettitte's really going to help out this beleaguered Yankee bullpen.
It's a big lift when you give him a rest like that.
Not a bad ratio. Balls and strikes, 34-70. Strange, this one gets by Wade Boggs. That thing was going so quickly Boggs couldn't get to it. And Strange will hustle into second base with a double. Right down the third base line.
Not easy to come off the bench. You have a pitcher out there that's on a pretty good roll, but Strange, nice balance there, gets it out in front, and Boggs a little bit off the line. You have a lead like this, you do not concern yourself so much about guarding the third base line, even though it's a right-handed batter against a left-handed pitcher.
Warren Newson with 2 out, the runner on second. Newson walked his first time up in this game back in the 6th inning.
Today's attendance, 24,885.
The 0-1 to Newson, just outside, 1-1. Well, a perfect weather afternoon on Labor Day, a holiday, nobody working. Yankees in the thick of the wild card race, and they draw 24,885. Little looper and back is shortstop. Will somebody be able to get to this? No, and the Mariners have put their 3rd run on the board as Newson knocks in Strange with a single to center. That'll bring up Mike Flowers with 2 gone. Blowers 0 for 3 on the day. Let's take a look at that as Fernandez almost got to it.
Well, this is a little bit of the case of making too good a pitch. If the ball is hit harder, you figure that the center fielder would catch the ball, but you just make a pitch that's a little bit too good, hit off the end of the bat, and now you get penalized for making that very good pitch.
A crazy game, isn't it? Fouled hard by Blowers. It's amazing how fans stand up and try and catch those darts that come back there. I'd be ducking. All one to count to Blowers. Going for the downs that time, 0-2.
Well, in his last 28 pitches, Pettit has thrown 24 strikes. Now, I would say that's maybe not trying to challenge the hitters, but it's making them hit the ball. You hear the term, let them hit it. Well, don't let them, make them hit it, because that means you're still throwing your pitches where you want to, and they're in the strike zone.
This one in the dirt, trying to get Blowers fishing. He won't do it. 1-2.
I never did like that term, let them hit it. You're out there to get them. You let them hit it? What do you mean? If I let them hit it, that means I'm going to lob it in there. But I'll make them hit my pitch.
That one was high out of the strike zone. He swung at it anyway. Part of getting the hitter to make him hit it is to put it in the strike zone. So if he doesn't, he knows the penalty.
Well, it's been a nice job for Andy Pettit. And again, as you said earlier, Tom, you're not sure what you're going to get. You have a rookie. Is he going to follow up off that last start? You like to build on that, and he's been able to do that, moving the ball around very well and using his pitches.
The 1-2, a called strike 3. Off-speed delivery from Pettit. Blowers knows it. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. It is a 10-3 ball game. Yankees in control. Well, be with us, won't you? Wednesday night, a night you will not want to miss. The Iron Horse, Luke Eric, played in 2,130 consecutive games, a mark that nobody really thought would ever be challenged, but Cal Ripken Jr. is going to break it Wednesday night on ESPN. Live from Camden Yards in Baltimore, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific time. There are no tickets to be had, of course, but can you imagine the scalper that evening, what you might get outside the park? Huh?
How about those extra seats they built for $5,000 a throw? Have those have been sold out? I'm wondering.
I'm not sure. You know what? I'll bet you they have. And headed for Cooperstown indeed. 5 years after Cal Ripken retires, he'll be given a speech. Larritz leads it off for the Yankees, bottom of the 8th inning. Scott Davison still in there for Seattle.
And what a wonderful place to go, Cooperstown. Not just to be enshrined there. I'm talking about to visit. Quite a little town. Our Major League Alumni Association had an event there this year for the Salvation Army. Raise funds, their charity events they play every. We have 45 of them. The Alumni Association has donated over $1 million to charities.
Larritz gets all of this one, but it's right to the center fielder, Rich Amaral. One gone. Went to Cooperstown one time, I guess about 10 years ago, and it was something I'll never forget.
I've made 2 trips there. One as a player when we had one of the hypo games. And you don't really have enough time when you play those. You're in, you're out. But this particular time, it was a 2-day thing, and I didn't want to leave. I mean, it'd be nice if more former players lived there. I mean, where else what a great place to live when you're done playing baseball. Cooperstown.
Then you could always say after the game, I'm going to Cooperstown.
There you go.
And you wouldn't be lying.
There you go.
Tony Fernandez tripled his last time up, courtesy of one Alex Diaz, who lost the ball in the sun. And gets himself a pitcher off the foot of Davison into right field. I'll tell you one man who's living right today, it's Tony Fernandez. Davison does not appear hurt.
Well, Tony was going to get a base hit one way or another, I guess, on that one. If it doesn't hit the pitcher, it's going into center field for a hit. Felix Fermin, the second baseman, was breaking toward the middle. He never would have been able to cut it off, and then, of course, couldn't regroup after the ball bounced off the pitcher.
Randy Velarde walked his last time up. That was back in the 6th inning.
Now he is the only starter in the lineup that does not have a hit today, so the heat is on him.
That's right. Kangaroo Court will have a fine time with Randy Velarde unless he can jack one now. Did score a run, got on an error in the fourth. But as yet, not a hit. Two and one to count. Hey, what do you know? Short right field. Newson can't get to it, holds up. And the Kangaroo Court will have one less victim. It is now unanimous. All the starters have hit safely in this game, and Wade Boggs comes up again with two men on.
You know, it's amazing. You would think, and baseball is a numbers and percentage game, you would think that the more he bats, it would swing in the favor of the pitcher, but he is so unique and such a talented hitter that that's really not the case.
Presently hitting at .330. Boggs with another 3-hit day today. And up to the second, you see where he stands in the Major League batting race. Need a caliper to separate him from Tony Gwynn. Chopper down to first base. Fair ball is the ruling, and Boggs is out, but the runners advance. Oh, I see. That stat we saw was lifetime. All right. Still need a caliper to separate.
Well, a true measure of a career in those cases is the model of consistency. And you look at guys like Gwynn and Boggs, Thomas. Still, you know, the future is bright for a lot of those other fellas, but look at Wade Boggs and Tony Gwynn, the elder statesmen of the crew.
A lot of people hoping San Diego can make a run so Tony Gwynn can see a taste of postseason play. Here is Bernie Williams. This one is going, and gone. Bernie Williams, 3-run homer. His 16th round tripper of the season, and it's now 13-3.
How about 74 runs batted in on the season, and you have a guy hitting in your number 2 spot?
That's pretty good production in that slot.
Well, just a nice swing, and it's not overpowering the ball. He just takes a good swing, and you talk about getting the head of the bat out in front and the extension of the arms.
And Paul O'Neill follows it up with a single to right, and the carnage continues. O'Neill's 3rd hit of the day. The Yankees, if I'm not mistaken, their 19th base hit. And Davison, I know that Lou Piniella hopes the youngster can just finish this game out for him.
Yeah, you don't want to go back any farther into your bullpen. And even with the kind of lead as it is, the Yankees bullpen is active, which to me is a little bit surprising.
We have a pinch runner for Paul O'Neill. Ruben Rivera. Ruben Rivera, the pinch runner, number 17, one of the Yankee call-ups. A season high 19 hits, we understand, for the New York Yankees. So Rivera is now the runner at first for O'Neill. As a batter in this situation, if you're Ruben Siri, you go up, just try and jack one out. Have a little fun.
Well, you don't want to rub it in. You don't want to really take that kind of swing in terms of, you know, popping the buttons, that sort of thing. Just go up there and try to stay within yourself. And that's one thing about some managers. They have to have their, it's not that you want your team to back off, Tom. You're out there to win and do what you normally can do. But you certainly don't want to embarrass anybody and rub it in.
And striking out swinging is Ruben Sierra to end the inning. We're through 8 here at Yankee Stadium. The barrage continues. Yankees lead at 13-3. Yankee Stadium, the Bronx, New York. We enter the top of the ninth inning with the Yankees bludgeoning the Seattle Mariners 13-3, and almost a complete lineup change for the New York Yankees in the field as they take the field in the ninth inning. That guy's not out of the lineup. That guy is Bernie Williams, and what a day he has had. He just completed it with a 3-run homer, has a single, triple, home run, 4 RBIs. He's up to 299. Other words, Jimmy hasn't done much than that, you know.
Oh no, just one of the ho-hums. And there is the guy that started the ball game, Andy Pettit. And again, I've always had this thing too about, you have a 10-run lead. He's given you 8 good innings. He earns the right to pitch the ninth inning. 113 pitches he's thrown. That's not a high number, even though he gets off to a bad start, struggles in the first, but from that point on, he just got on a little bit of a roll, and he made it look easy, even though you know it's not.
So Joe Osanio will pitch the ninth inning for Buck Showalter. He was optioned to Columbus after Thursday's game, but recalled yesterday. Last pitched against the Mariners on the 26th. So Joe Osanio. So we have basically 2 lineups full of reserves in for both Seattle and the Yankees. Greg Perkle leading it off for Seattle. Oh, 1 the count to Perkle. Coming up next, it'll be the Reds and the Astros from the Astrodome. 1-1 the count. Wayne Stats and Joe Torre standing by in the air-conditioned comfort. Although it is just a gorgeous day here in New York. Perkle, a high pop-up, and I mean a high one. Third baseman Russell Davis. Boggs is out of the game. Davis corrals it for the first out.
High, way up there, and if it comes down, he's out.
That's right.
Another dugout slang.
A major league pop-up.
There you go.
We understand that Ron Gant is going to be in the Reds lineup today. Getting him back going to make an already potent lineup even more dangerous. Widger, Seattle catcher, youngster, fouls it back. You like the Reds in the National League?
Love them. Love them. They got David Wells. I think to really add to a pretty good pitching staff. Actually, much, but Dave Burba has done a great job, even though he had a rough time yesterday. And you add Wells to Shurik and Smiley, and that might give that left-handed lineup in Atlanta a problem if it gets down to those 2.
On the other hand, Atlanta, this is the year that, let's face it, people expect them to be no more the bridesmaid. They expect them to go all the way. A lot of pressure going to be on Bobby Cox's team. Most people thought that they should have beaten the Phillies a couple of years ago. Widger takes a swing and a miss. 1-2.
Well, Jim Leland used to, well, in fact, he still has, I'm sure, the term keep the dog under the porch, and that's what Atlanta did not do with Philadelphia. They let him out, and Philly ended up biting him.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Chris Widger. It's only a matter of count now. Yankees up by 10 in the top of the ninth inning. 2 gone. So Joe Osanio picks up his first strikeout, and Felix Fermin, as Andy Pettit looks on. Last bit of hope for Seattle.
Well, Joe Osanio, he was in the Pirate organization a few years ago, was a type of pitcher, many pitches, but didn't really master any one thing, Tom. He didn't have anything real terminal, was a very good AAA pitcher, but now he's worked his way back. Occasionally he'll drop down, which he didn't do a few years ago. So he's been of some help to the Yankees. He's very flexible. By that I mean long, short, whatever, he can start for you if need be. He's not a closer type, but he's a very usable type pitcher.
1-1 the count as Fermin fouls it off to the stands. Reading some bios on Fermin, scouting reports that say he's a good contact hitter, but has absolutely no power. Don't worry about it. Put it down the middle, let him hit it. That's the scouting report of Fermin.
And really struggling this year. Had an excellent season last year, but he was hurt. Didn't get a chance to play every day after a while, and tough to battle back. I mean, when you're struggling and your team has a chance to win, it's hard to get that non-bat in the lineup.
Well, the Yankees are 1 strike away from closing the gap to 1 game between they and the Mariners in the wild card chase. Here's the 1-2 to Fermin. Down low, 2-2. Tradition here in New York. 2 outs and 2 strikes on the batter, and the home team leading. They stand up and root for that 3rd strike. Osanio. High for ball 3. The appeal is denied. Yankee catcher is Jorge Posada. Host of changes by Buck Showalter coming into the 9th inning. 3-2. 2 outs, top of the 9th. We'll do it again. For the record, Williams is now in right field. Jeter's at shortstop. Gerald Williams in right. Jeter's at shortstop. Davis at third. James at first for the Yankees. Here's the 3-2. Right back through the box. Almost got Osanio. And Fermin keeps the game alive with a single to center. That'll bring up Alex Diaz. That's Gerald Williams in right field.
Well, Osanio was not going to walk him, and Fermin knew it. He knew there was going to be something pretty hittable there, and you just go up there and wail away at it. Gets a base hit as a reward, and here's a guy that would like to get a base hit to make his day a little bit better.
Alex Diaz. And of course, the first baseman, James, is not bothering to hold on the runner. Dion moving from left field to first base. Reminder, Dwayne Statz and Joe Torre standing by at the Houston Astrodome. The Astros and Reds follow our game immediately. And then later on tonight at 9 Eastern, the Phillies in Los Angeles. Our Labor Day triple header. Diaz fouls it off. The count at 1-1. Fermin, that was one of the harder hit balls of the day, right through the box.
You know, you'd like to see him do well. Felix, really a nice fella. He went from Pittsburgh to Cleveland to Seattle.
That'll go to the stands. It'll be 1-2.
Kind of interesting trades, I think. Felix goes to Cleveland for Jay Bell, and then to Seattle for Omar Vizcaíno. All shortstops being involved there. And right now, Vizcaíno is enjoying it more than anybody.
That's right. There's Diaz, 1-2 to him. Little bloop around the third base line, drifting towards the stands, and no play. Over there was Russell Davis. Thought about reaching into the first row, but no. And Pettit just sits there, content in the knowledge that his record should be 8-8 in just a moment. Joe Osanio, the pitcher. Jorge Posada, the catcher. The new battery for the Yankees here in the 9th. 1-2, 13-3 the score. Down to first base, Dion James, Osanio, and that's it. Final score, New York Yankees 13, the Seattle Mariners 3. Andy Pettit is the winner. He's now 8-8. The losing pitcher is Solomon Torres. For Jim Rooker, I'm Tom Mees. Thanks very much for being with us from Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. The Yankees win it. They trail the Mariners by a game now in the AL wild card race.